Chapter 579. Lu Xiaohu didn't know when he had awakened a mysterious superpower. He admitted that he had countless fantasies of having superpowers and becoming a hero that saved the world, or even the universe. When he was with his peers, he fantasized that he was a Superman from another planet that was left on Earth. One day, he would awaken his true power, and then he would punish evil and protect the world. After he entered elementary school, he fantasized that he was a scion from planet Scion and tried to become a super scion to protect Earth. But this fantasy was shattered as he entered high school. After he entered junior high school, he dreamed of being a powerful computer hacker that could control the entire online world, including online games and other people's Alipay passwords. He could even break into girls' phones and pull out their nude photos to look at. Maybe he could even use this to threaten them to do something with him. Didn't the book say that if you want to enter a woman's heart, you have to enter their vagina first? Unfortunately, he didn't have such an opportunity. Lu Xiaohu didn't expect that he had awakened a superpower, but it was useless. At this time, Lu Xiaohu was squatting in the hall on the first floor of the school, looking at the girl walking down the stairs. Damn, even if it was the worst superpower, a genius like me could definitely find a place to use it. At this time, the class leader was wearing a white skirt and walking down the stairs. Although their school required students to wear school uniforms, most students only wore the upper part of the uniform, and the lower part was free to do as they pleased. Now that it was summer and the weather was hot, the beautiful class leader was wearing a short skirt. Good. Lu Xiaohu licked his lips. This skill of his could finally be put to use now. The beautiful class leader had a pair of black leggings under her short skirt. Lu Xiaohu always thought that leggings were the most anti-human thing. Class leader, let me liberate you now. Lu Xiaohu aimed his palm at the class leader above his head. This was the first time he used his ability, and he immediately removed the class leader's leggings. It was effective. His ability was also effective on the leggings. Lu Xiaohu was very excited. Great, this was the meaning of his existence. It was just that without the leggings, the beautiful class leader didn't seem to realize the arrival of danger. She also didn't expect that her leggings would disappear into thin air. Lu Xiaohu was very excited. Victory was in sight. Lu Xiaohu raised his trembling right hand. At this moment, he felt that he was holding the right hand of God. Come on, the world has to be saved by itself. Let's start with the class leader's underwear. Lu Xiaohu was about to make a move, but at this moment, a hand suddenly stretched out from behind and placed on his shoulder. Bro, what you're doing is a little inappropriate. Fuck, who is it? Lu Xiaohu was shocked. He turned around and found an unknown boy standing behind him. He was wearing black-framed glasses and had an innocent look on his face. There were two people standing beside him. One was a sexy and beautiful woman, and the other seemed to be a high school student, but his face was full of impatience, and he stood at the side with his arms crossed. What are you doing? Lu Xiaohu looked at them vigilantly. These guys, who are they? The class next door. Looking for trouble with me. Lu Xiaohu began to recall. He didn't seem to have offended anyone recently. Who would want to make things difficult for him? I don't know you guys. If you want money, I still have some in my pocket. The kid was very timid. He quickly took out his wallet and took out the lunch money from it. Bai Linluo hurriedly explained, "Oh, classmate, we're not here to rob your money. Don't joke around. Look at the guy behind you. His face is fierce, he doesn't look like a good person. I know the rules. You can take the money, I've never seen you guys before, did you see that? I've already said that you look fierce." Su Su took the opportunity to laugh at Li Fan, which made Li Fan very unhappy. He crossed his arms and snorted. Lu Xiaohu was so scared that he almost knelt down. This senior. Is he dissatisfied with me? The class leader happened to pass by him and gave him a strange look. The class leader was probably thinking, how did I get involved with a few hooligan students? It's over, the class leader's impression of me is going to drop again. Lu Xiaohu complained incessantly, his heart was filled with infinite sadness. Today, he had really suffered a double loss. Hey, we're really not the kind of people you think we are. Bai Lin Luo was also very helpless. How could he complete his mission like this? His practice assignment today was to successfully guide Lu Xiaohu into the Shield of China. He either had to find a way to eliminate his ability or absorb him into the organization. But now it seemed that it was not going to be easy. Big brother. You're all big brothers, you guys found out. Lu Xiaohu had to take out 50 yuan from his crotch. I really didn't mean to hide the money. I stuffed this in this morning, I forgot. We don't want your money. Bai Lin Luo pushed his glasses, he lowered his voice and said, Lu Xiaohu, we know your ability. You're in danger now, you have to come with us. What are you talking about? Lu Xiaohu's face was obviously a little ugly. He was actually found out. Impossible. I haven't used my ability much, how could I be found out? At that moment, many thoughts flashed through Lu Xiaohu's mind. He was sent to the laboratory to be dissected to study the secrets in his body. Class is about to start, I have to go. Lu Xiaohu, don't be afraid, I'm the same as you, we both have abilities. Bai Lin Luo explained, you're in a very bad situation now, coming with us will help you. Li Fan was still muttering in his heart, Bai Lin Luo's eloquence was not bad, why couldn't he deal with this abnormal mutant today? I don't know you guys, goodbye. Lu Xiaohu lowered his head, turned around and was about to leave. But Bai Lin Luo stood behind and said to him. There's a group of mysterious people chasing us. If you don't go with us, you'll be in danger. Psycho. Lu Xiaohu couldn't help but curse, his pace became more hurried. And Bai Lin Luo stood behind, the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of a smile. Not waiting for Lu Xiaohu to go far, at the corner of the corridor, a beauty wearing a lion armor suddenly appeared. She carried a shield in one hand and a big sword in the other. This beauty waved the big sword in her hand, scaring Lu Xiaohu into falling to the ground. The sword brushed past Lu Xiaohu's head and slashed into the wall next to him, leaving a dazzling sword mark. Chapter 580. Lu Xiaohu, run. Bai Lin Luo shouted nervously from behind, they're here to kill you. Come with us. Lu Xiaohu did not dare to hesitate. He scrambled over to Bai Lin Luo's side. Bai Lin Luo had a serious look on his face as well. He grabbed Lu Xiaohu's arm and dragged him outside. Wang Xiaoyuan carried her sword and shield and chased after them. Li Fan and Su Su looked at each other and were speechless. They had no choice but to escape behind Bai Lin Luo and the others. The four of them ran out of the school building and went outside. They got into a Toyota SUV that was parked there. Hurry up and drive. Bai Lin Luo dragged Lu Xiaohu into the car and urged Su Su loudly. The driver was none other than Su Su. No one knew when she got her driver's license. When Su Su started the car, Wang Xiaoyuan had already caught up with them. The bronze sword in her hand pierced through the car door. The tip of the sword almost cut Lu Xiaohu's nose. Lu Xiaohu was so scared that he almost peed. Drive. Hurry up and drive. Bai Lin Luo protected Lu Xiaohu and was scratched by Wang Xiaoyuan's sword. Blood flowed out. However, Su Su had already started the car. The SUV rushed out like a tiger and left Wang Xiaoyuan behind. We finally got rid of them. Bai Lin Luo let out a long sigh of relief. He endured his injury and asked Lu Xiaohu, Xiaohu, are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. Lu Xiaohu was still a little dazed. Looking at the blood on Bai Linluo's shoulder, he stared blankly. Who were those people just now? Hunters killers. Bai Linluo looked at Lu Xiaohu seriously and warned him, those people specialize in killing mutants like us. They are very powerful. We were lucky to escape today. If we weren't here, I'm afraid you would have gone to hell. Why did they want to kill me? After all, Lu Xiaohu was just a high school student. Although he had some special abilities, they were just amusing abilities. With so many things happening all of a sudden, he was really frightened, and his brain couldn't keep up. Because you are a mutant with superpowers. Bai Linluo gave a simple explanation. They view all mutants as heretics and exterminate them all. Then, what about you? Are you also a mutant? What's your superpower? Lu Xiaohu finally asked. Bai Linluo, on the other hand, was already prepared for this. I don't have any superpowers. I'm just a researcher. This is my assistant, Li Fan. He doesn't have any superpowers, but he is strong and can help me a lot. We're a team. The only one with superpowers in the team is the girl who's driving. Her name is Susu. Ah. Lu Xiaohu was taken aback. Are the mutants that lowly in our team? You're even responsible for driving. Oh no, it's because we don't know how to drive. Bai Linluo continued to fool Lu Xiaohu. She's the core of our team. Then this beautiful sister, what's your superpower? You don't want to know. Susu rolled her eyes. This moron was really fooled by Bai Linluo's words. If you don't prove it. I can't believe you. Lu Xiaohu was still a little vigilant. Let me see. Are you sure? Susu raised her eyebrows. I'm sure. Why don't you show me? Li Fan, who was sitting in the back, couldn't help but turn his head away. Out of sight, out of mind. At this time, he could only pray Amitabha for this guy in his heart. Sure enough, 2 seconds later, a heart-wrenching scream came from the car. After another 5 minutes, Bai Linluo affectionately patted Lu Xiaohu's back. Brother, are you feeling better? Big brother. Lu Xiaohu cried with tears and snot all over his face. Are we really people with superpowers? What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Stealing underwear, pinching balls, how can these superpowers save the world? Bullshit. You might be in a bit of pain, so you're a little emotional. It's okay, brother, I understand. Take it easy, take it easy. Bai Linluo hurriedly comforted Lu Xiaohu. I can't take it easy anymore. I've had enough. Not only was he being hunted down, he finally met a teammate, but it was this kind of trash skill, excuse me. Is this really not a joke? Lu Xiaohu's spirit was really on the verge of collapse. The car had already arrived near the Shield of China. This was a relatively secluded community, and there were usually not many people outside. The students of the Shield of China were waiting for them at the entrance of the community. Wang Bo crossed his arms, his face full of disdain. These guys, could it be that they didn't complete their mission and are too embarrassed to come back? Wang Bo, what are you talking about? We're all classmates, can't you hope for them? That's right, Wang Bo, don't go too far. A group of students scolded Wang Bo, but Wang Bo said angrily, they're making us wait here on such a hot day, and they're still in the right. Look, they're coming back. If I don't teach Bai Linluo and his brainless assistant a lesson, I'll teach them a lesson. Stop fooling around, their car is here. Hey, when did someone appear in front? Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. A red-haired foreigner with a giant sword on his shoulder was standing in the middle of the road, as if waiting for them. He was not here before, and they had no idea when he appeared. Seeing the SUV driving over, he raised the giant sword in his hand and slashed at the car. There was still some distance between them, but the SUV was directly split in half. Susu fell out of the driver's seat, while Li Fan sat in the back. He directly picked up by Lin Luo and Lu Xiaohu, jumped out of the split car, somersaulted in the air, and landed steadily on the ground. Susu fell to the side, and it seemed like she was in great pain. She covered her butt and complained to Li Fan. "You bastard, why didn't you care about me? You've received so much training, it'll be fine." Li Fan's serious look made Susu clench her teeth. It's Hunter. My God. Teacher, where is teacher? Quickly save us. I don't want to die. When the students of the Shield of China saw this red-haired foreigner, they immediately cried in fear. Wang Bo also lost his vigor from before. His legs were weak, and he did not even have the strength to escape, so he sat on the ground. Interesting. The red-haired foreigner said with a smile, "Today, I'll catch all of you in one fell swoop." No, you misunderstood. After being placed on the ground by Li Fan, Bai Lin Luo patted the dust off his body and said to the foreigner, "It's not you who caught all of us in one fell swoop, it's us who caught turtles in a jar. Do you know what it means to catch turtles in a jar in China? It's to trick turtles into the jar." Chapter 581. Bai Lin Luo and his team had already calculated everything. This operation was like catching a turtle in a jar. They stayed in the Shield of China every day, relying on the Shield's unique shielding facilities to protect themselves. Outsiders wouldn't be able to find them. However, Bai Lin Luo and his team were prepared to escort number 9. They knew that Hunter's men must be watching them in China. However, these people were hiding in the dark. It would be impossible to find them without some tricks. Mutants like them were the best bait. As long as they came out, they believed that Hunter's men wouldn't fall for it. Especially Bai Lin Luo, he was now defined as the person most likely to become an S-class mutant. Hunter's hunting for him was also the highest. Bai Lin Luo's assignment was to lure out Hunter's men nearby. Let's begin the assignment. Susu winked at Bai Lin Luo. Are you ready? Yes. Bai Lin Luo adjusted his spectacles and looked at the man with the giant sword in front of him. Be careful. His ability is strange. It wasn't sword aura just now. Li Fan reminded them. Understood. Li Fan, please protect the students. No problem. Li Fan replied to Bai Lin Luo's request. He put his hands in his pockets and walked to the students. Isn't it cool on the ground? Seeing Wang Bo sitting on the ground, Li Fan winked at him. Bastard. Go and get help. Wang Bo's face was pale from fear. I don't need the protection of an idiot assistant. That's not up to you. Li Fan sat on a stone nearby. I still have to watch the show from the front. Bastard. If we can survive, I won't let you go. Wang Bo glared at Li Fan as if he wanted to vent his fear on him. We're going to die, don't worry. Sister Susu is here. Yes. Sister Susu will definitely kill men. When those worried students saw Susu, they felt much more at ease. That's right. My Susu is here. Wang Bo's nervousness subsided a little, but he still didn't have the strength to stand up. His legs were numb. What now? Don't talk. Watch the show. Li Fan looked at Bai Lin Luo seriously. He was curious about Bai Lin Luo's combat ability after a period of training. Just stand behind me. Susu reminded Lu Xiaohu, but Lu Xiaohu was too scared to speak. What kind of person was that with the big sword? He looked so fierce. And how did he do it just now? He cut the car in half with one slash. You are. By Lin Luo. The redhead looked at Bai Lin Luo. The redhead glanced at Bai Lin Luo and said, Bye. As he spoke, he took out a device and tested it on Bai Lin Luo. There were a total of 10 red lights on the machine. After it was aimed at Bai Lin Luo, 8 lights lit up. Sure enough. You are full of sin. What is that? Lu Xiaohu asked while trembling. An instrument to test superpowers. Su said, the stronger your potential, the brighter the light on the instrument. Bai Lin Luo actually lit up 8 lights. He is indeed a candidate for S-class. Didn't he say he doesn't have superpowers? You've been deceived. The redhead looked at Lu Xiaohu. This face was a bit unfamiliar. But he subconsciously aimed the instrument at Lu Xiaohu. The 10 lights lit up at the same time. Gods, you are full of sin. Damn. What's the use of my superpower? Why do I have 10 lights? Lu Xiaohu was about to collapse. Su couldn't help but look at him. This wretched man who only knows how to remove people's underwear actually has such a high spiritual power. Great. This is an opportunity given to me by the gods. The redhead was very excited. He raised his exaggeratedly huge sword. Go see the gods and let them wash away the sins on your body. With that, the redhead swung the huge sword in his hand. Bai Lin Luo was already prepared. He took out Wang Xiaoyuan's good guy card from the card bag on his waist and threw it out. Wang Xiaoyuan raised her shield and blocked in front of Bai Lin Luo. Bang! An invisible energy hit Wang Xiaoyuan's shield and sent her body flying 2 meters away. Isn't this the female assassin? Lu Xiaohu blinked his eyes. It's just that they look alike. Su's eyes looked to the side. It's too similar, it's exactly the same, okay? Bastard. Lu Xiaohu wanted to flip the table. Everything that happened today was too crazy. For a moment, anger and fear broke out in his heart. Calm down. I can't calm down. Su spread her 5 fingers, otherwise, I'll help you calm down. You seem to have calmed down a lot. Lu Xiaohu didn't say anything, while Bai Lin Luo was directing Wang Xiaoyuan to fight the redhead. The redhead just stood there, waving the huge sword in his hand like a toy. The huge sword swung out an invisible energy, attacking Bai Lin Luo again and again. Wang Xiaoyuan hung the sword on her waist and held the shield with both hands at the same time, blocking the attacks for her master. However, cracks had already appeared on her shield, and it seemed like it would collapse at any moment. Xiaomei, prepare to help Bai Lin Luo in a while. Li Fan sat on a stone block and watched the show for a long time. Suddenly, he said to an intern of China's shield. Ah. The girl named Xiaomei was stunned for a moment. She was 12 years old this year. Not to mention her young age, her ability was also ordinary. She couldn't fight at all. Xiaomei's superpower could temporarily silence the sound in an area. You're just an assistant, why are you giving orders? Wang Bo glared at Li Fan fiercely, we're all mutants, it's not up to you to command us. Bai Lin Luo was obviously in a tough battle. He began to change his tactics, letting Wang Xiaoyuan move slowly with him, circling around, and slowly approaching the redhead. The distance between Bai Lin Luo and the redhead was getting closer and closer. Soon, they were only 1 meter apart. Bang! The redhead's energy was also getting stronger and stronger. At such a close distance, it was difficult for Wang Xiaoyuan to deflect the force. A wave of energy rushed out, and Wang Xiaoyuan's shield was shattered. And her body was also crushed by the energy. But at this moment, Bai Lin Luo suddenly shouted. Xiaomei, help me. Li Fan gently patted Xiaomei's back, and Xiaomei subconsciously stretched out her hands to eliminate the sound from Bai Linluo's side. Her silencing space was about 3 square meters, just enough to contain the two of them. The redhead frowned. The Susu soldiers with swords and sabers had already appeared behind him, releasing storm of slaughter and engulfing him. Chapter 582. Susu storm of slaughter was extremely ferocious. The attack from the sword and saber engulfed the red-haired foreigner. Almost in the blink of an eye, the red-haired foreigner body was cut until it was dripping with blood. For some reason, his ability had also failed. He could only allow Susu to attack. Swoosh! One of the red-haired foreigner arms was cut off. With blood, it flew into the air. Bai Linluo pushed his glasses up and stood there with a smile on his face. His judgment was right. The ability on this red-haired foreigner sword was the sound wave. It was invisible and colorless, and it was ultrasonic. Humans couldn't hear it at all. This kind of attack was impossible to guard against. The reason why Bai Linluo could discover this was because he saw that there were many cracks on Wang Xiaoyuan shield. These cracks weren't caused by cutting, but some kind of terrifying resonance effect. Fortunately, in their small team, there was a girl who could silence sound. Bai Linluo set up step by step, making Wang Xiaoyuan resist all the time, causing the red-haired foreigner to be careless. At the last moment, he launched a fatal attack. Together with Little Mei, he successfully cut off one of the red-haired foreigner arms. However, Little Mei was still a child after all. Her silencing barrier only lasted for a few seconds before it dissipated. Your sins are unforgivable. The red-haired foreigner roared angrily. He actually held the big sword in one hand and swung it heavily. The sound wave struck Susu warrior and killed her in the blink of an eye. I'll kill you first. The red-haired foreigner knew that Little Mei was the real threat. He swung his sword and the sound wave swept towards Little Mei. This time, he attacked with the determination to kill. The ground where the sound wave passed was swept out a ravine. The street lamp in between them was broken by the sound wave. The interns hugged each other and cried. Wang Bo was so scared that he peed his pants and fainted. The sound wave and death arrived in front of them together. Ha! Li Fan, on the other hand, unleashed a fierce tiger roar and roared in front of him. The sound wave immediately dissipated without a trace. If it wasn't for the mess it passed by, it would be as if it had never come out. What? The red-haired foreigner was taken aback. Who was this person? How could he destroy his sound wave attack with a single roar? This was also the first time the red-haired foreigner had seen Li Fan. He stuck the big sword in the ground in front of him, took out a device, and pointed it at Li Fan. Bang! The device exploded. The red-haired foreigner was a little dumbfounded. What's going on? The interns were also a little surprised. What did this assistant just do? Little Four Eyes, get rid of your target. Li Fan reminded Bai Linluo. Got it. Bai Linluo felt a little ashamed. He had been too careless. He had actually asked for Li Fan's help. He reached out, pulled out the third card, and threw it out. Liao Qianqian, an A-class card. A scorpion rune flickered in the air, and then a woman in dark brown armor walked out from the void and descended in front of Bai Linluo. Scorpio warrior, Liao Qianqian. The armor of an A-class warrior was obviously more beautiful and complete than that of a B-class warrior. This Liao Qianqian was even wearing a scorpion-shaped helmet, looking majestic and full of mystery. Seeing this familiar face, Li Fan's heart was filled with mixed feelings. Although it was just a replica, it looked exactly the same as Liao Wuxuang. When he thought of Liao Wuxuang, Li Fan couldn't feel happy. Liao Qianqian was wearing a Scorpio armor with a western sword hanging on her waist. Its shape was especially similar to a scorpion S tail. It had a circular handguard and a poisonous needle-like blade. Different from the two B-class warriors, this Liao Qianqian had an unusual aura. Just by standing there, she gave people a sense of security. What a powerful sin. The red-haired foreigner no longer cared about Li Fan. He had to deal with the trouble in front of him first. He waved his sword and tried to attack Bai Lin Luo. But Liao Qianqian moved like lightning. Unknowingly, she had already pulled out her sword and stabbed it at the red-haired foreigner S sword. Dang! Before this heavy sword could activate its ability, it had already been knocked askew by Liao Qianqian S sword. Bang! A car in the distance was immediately shattered by the sound wave. What? The red-haired foreigner couldn't believe it. How could this woman in dark brown armor be so powerful? Interesting, even Li Fan couldn't help but be surprised. An A-class female warrior at least had the ability to enter the next level. The world was indeed big. Other than martial fighters, there were also mutants. If Bai Lin Luo S ability improved a bit and could summon S-class cards, then his combat power would be comparable to his own. Gods, grant me power. The red-haired foreigner raised his sword again, but Liao Qianqian had already pierced his left eye, causing him to scream in pain. He was also well-trained. The moment he was blinded, he endured the pain and took a step back. Otherwise, Liao Qianqian S sword would have pierced his brain. Capture him alive. Susu reminded Bai Lin Luo. Bai Lin Luo had already given the order. Liao Qianqian held the sword and instantly pierced the red-haired foreigner S tendons, making him kneel on the ground. He screamed and wriggled like an ugly caterpillar. Capture prisoner number 50. Susu said into the communicator, May 6th, 3:15 p.m. The garage door next to them slowly opened, and dozens of soldiers of China's shield walked out. They were different from ordinary soldiers. Their uniforms were yellow with a dragon-shaped logo printed on it. Li Fan saw 3 tanks in the garage. It seemed that if Bai Lin Luo S plan failed, they were going to take him by force. Although the Shield of China had experienced 2 massacres, it was still a national machine. The red-haired foreigner S sword was taken away. He was also tied up and sent to the prison of the Shield of China. As for the tendons in his hands and feet, the Shield of China would definitely not heal them. Although China S policy was to give preferential treatment to prisoners of war, this order obviously did not apply to the people of Hunter. Bai Lin Luo suddenly attracted the admiration of many interns. Lu Xiaohu looked at him with slight envy. A summoner, and he could only summon beautiful warriors. Why didn't I have this ability? No, I must suck up to this guy. Maybe he could give me 2 summoning cards. Lu Xiaohu licked his lips. Bai Lin Luo pushed up his glasses and asked him. Sorry, I lied to you before. Now I give you another chance to choose. Are you willing to join us? Looking at the barrels of the 3 tanks behind Bai Lin Luo, Lu Xiaohu quickly nodded. Chapter 583. Such a high potential value. The bureau chief's grandmother was a little shocked when she saw Lu Xiaohu. It was rare for her to be sober for a while, but she felt like her head was about to explode. Maybe he will become the strongest among the mutants, the legendary Z-class. Susu was stunned when she heard the bureau chief's words. She glanced at Lu Xiaohu, who was sitting next to her and playing with his phone. Although they brought Lu Xiaohu over, neither Susu nor Bai Lin Luo believed that Lu Xiaohu could do anything. A guy who only knew how to steal underwear. What could he do? Not bad, not bad. I'm optimistic about you. Li Fan patted Lu Xiaohu's shoulder and said with a smile, the burden of saving the world will be handed over to you in the future. Ah. Can I really do it? Lu Xiaohu was a little dazed and didn't know what he could do. Senior. Why do you trust me so much? Because I think you have potential. Li Fan patted Lu Xiaohu's shoulder. You're still in the 3rd year of middle school, right? You're still a young man with unlimited potential. Really? Lu Xiaohu didn't quite believe it himself. After all, what use could a superpower of stealing people's underwear be? In fact, Li Fan was interested in Lu Xiaohu's muscles and bones. When he pressed his hand on Lu Xiaohu's body, he found that Lu Xiaohu was a good material for practicing martial arts. Therefore, Li Fan was a little impulsive and wanted to teach Lu Xiaohu a lesson. He wanted to see whether he would be an ability master or a kung fu master in the future. How about I teach you some kung fu? Li Fan winked at him. Susu was anxious and looked at Li Fan angrily. How can you poach him from us? You guys don't like him. Li Fan shrugged. I think his ability is quite interesting. Maybe he can really save the world. Although his potential value is quite high. This ability is really useless. The bureau chief sat there and sighed. The Special Abilities Bureau doesn't need someone who steals underwear. Against Hunter, he's useless except as bait. Fuck, I'm not that bad, am I? Lu Xiaohu was a little unhappy. It was too unpleasant to put himself in such a bad light. It's not like I chose this superpower. What right do you have to say that? If he was given a chance to choose, Lu Xiaohu also wanted to choose Bai Lin Luo's cool skills. In short, the Shield of Huaxia does not reject any mutant. The director thought for a moment and finally said, but if Li Fan wants to train him, I won't object. Dream on. You're just picking up a bargain. Li Fan rolled his eyes. I'll help you train Lu Xiaohu and provide free labor for the Shield of Huaxia. Then what do you mean? I don't like to do unprofitable business. Li Fan smiled. Chief, how about this? As for me, it can be said that I've helped the Shield of Huaxia to nurture a mutant expert, right? If something happens to the Shield of Huaxia, our little Four Eyes will definitely not sit idly by. So, I'll have to trouble you to help me train Lu Xiaohu. You really know how to do business. Susu rolled her eyes. The director sat at the side and knitted her sweater. It was unknown if she was suffering from dementia, but she did not say a word. Lu Xiaohu, do you want to become stronger? Li Fan only asked faintly. Do you want to be a person who can only steal underwear in their hearts forever? Or are you willing to be with me and become a superior man? You climbed Mount Everest, and you still want to be superior. Susu was very confused. Li Fan smiled. You won't understand. Of course I want to be superior. But, how's your strength? Lu Xiaohu looked at Li Fan with some suspicion. I still think Brother Bai is more powerful. Liao Qianqian, who was summoned by Bai Lin Luo, was really amazing. Li Fan smiled and did not say a word. Bai Lin Luo quickly said, I can't compare to Li Fan. He alone can beat 100 of me. Ha, it's not that exaggerated. With your A-level card and your wisdom, I'm really a bit numb. Li Fan laughed and began to be modest again. Lu Xiaohu muttered in his heart, isn't he an assistant? Why is he so powerful? He does have some skill. Susu curled her lips. Humph, but he still can't deal with my ability. As she spoke, she stretched out her slender, jade-like hands, and all the men present subconsciously shivered. This woman's ability is against all men in the world. Except for eunuchs. I want to reach the top. Although Lu Xiaohu was wretched, he was also quite clever. Seeing Brother Bai, whom he admired the most, seemed to worship Li Fan, it must be true. He was about to kneel down in front of Li Fan and worship him as a master, but was stopped by Li Fan. No need to worship me as a master. I don't accept disciples. I'll teach you 2 moves. How much you can remember will depend on your own ability. As Li Fan spoke, he generously recited a mantra, go back and memorize it. Before I leave, if you can practice it, I'll teach you 2 moves. Ha! Lu Xiaohu was a bit dumbfounded. I'm not allowed to worship him as a master. This Li Fan might be a bit crazy. He's obviously going to teach me, why is he putting on airs? All right. The director finally lifted his eyelids and responded, this Lu Xiaohu, even if he's a member of Fifan. I'll pay his salary for you. The director understands me well. Good, good, good. Li Fan chuckled. Only then did Susu understand. Oh my, so he's charging by the number of people. Damn. This Li Fan, he's too smart. Profiteer. Alright, we're almost done with our training these few days, right? Li Fan clapped his hands, I can't stay in the capital forever. Hurry up and escort him. What's the point of keeping him here? He'll just give birth. The director snorted, it's decided. Tomorrow, we'll escort prisoner number 9. The matter was almost settled. The hunter-assassin in the capital had also been executed. Now was the best time to escort the prisoner. There's something you must remember. Everyone was still waiting for the director to finish, but she lowered her head and started knitting. I don't know if my grandson looks good in this sweater. Oh no, this old lady is possessed again. The weather was scorching hot, who would wear a sweater? The director is sick again, but I think she's already made the necessary arrangements. Susu said. Basically, whenever the director was sick, she was the acting director. We shouldn't delay, we'll leave early tomorrow morning. Li Fan, Bai Lin Luo, and Lu Xiaohu, come with me. Chapter 584. Early in the morning in Jingdu, the weather was extremely hot. It was still fine in a city as it was still cool in the season. But in Jingdu, it was very stuffy, as if there was a stuffy can that was stuck here, making it hard for people to breathe. Although Li Fan had true energy in his body, which could keep him warm in the winter and cool in the summer. However, the suffocating stuffiness was quite annoying. Meanwhile, Susu was walking beside Li Fan, muttering to herself. It's quite comfortable to be beside you. It's cool and comfortable. Susu couldn't help but laugh as she looked at the few of them who were hot like dogs. Fuck, you're comfortable. Lu Xiaohu was sweating profusely from the heat. Sitting in this big truck was really suffocating. No matter what, he was a third-year middle school student who was about to face his exams. It's already the revision month. Is it really okay for me to run out like this? I still have to suffer here. Li Fan was in charge of this escort mission. All of them were sitting in a container in a big truck. Other than the few of them, there was also a man who was chained up from head to toe in the container. Not only was his body chained up, even his mouth was sealed with a metal plate. Even his eyes were covered with leather, so he couldn't see anything. This person was wanted number 09. According to Susu, he was a very dangerous person. He was one of the people who destroyed the shield of Huaxia, and he was a leading figure. So many people had died to imprison him, and he had been locked up here all this time. It's been so many years. Why didn't you get rid of him earlier? Li Fan couldn't understand. He killed so many people. It's not too much to sentence him to death, right? We can't kill him. Susu explained. He's a serious criminal and must be tried in public. In addition, he holds the secret of the mutant weapon, so we must get information from him. This time, we sent him to Geneva for public trial, not only to try Hunter, but also to find out this secret. So troublesome. Wouldn't it be better if we just killed all the hunters? Li Fan hated troublesome things the most. He sat there, crossed his arms, closed his eyes, and muttered. If only it was as simple as you said. Hunter was a huge cult. Moreover, isn't there a solipsistic sect in the martial arts circle? If you're so awesome, why don't you go and exterminate solipsism? Li Fan was speechless. Do I really have to follow? Lu Xiaohu was still complaining. It's so hot here. Why can't we take an air-conditioned car? Because this place is more secluded. Li Fan had sent out a total of 10 trucks. Even if Hunter had his eyes on them, he wouldn't know which of them contained the real criminal. It was said that Prisoner 09 was very important to them. Now that Prisoner 09 was being escorted out, they would definitely take the opportunity to attack and rescue him. If it wasn't so dangerous, the director wouldn't have spent 2 million yuan to let Li Fan escort this time. But why bring me along, master? Although Li Fan did not recognize Lu Xiaohu as his disciple, Lu Xiaohu still called Li Fan master. To broaden your horizons. Also, don't call me master. You haven't even learned the mantra yet. Li Fan stared at him fiercely. What the hell did you do last night? Last night I went to look for Yonezawa Kumi's resources. I searched for the whole night, but I couldn't find anything. Some idiot tricked me and asked me to plant a seed for news simulcast. I planted it for more than 4 hours. When I saw it, it really was news simulcast. Damn it. You should have followed Lei Zi, not me. Li Fan felt that this kid was hopeless. But master. I remember the things you told me, but I really don't understand them, Lu Xiaohu complained. What acupuncture points? I don't understand. If you don't understand, go online and look it up. Your computer is used to search for information, not to play porn, you know. In order to study acupuncture points, Li Fan had read a lot of books about acupuncture points. When he finally understood it, Li Fan was overjoyed. Regardless of talent or anything else, if one wanted to succeed, one must work hard. If one did not work hard, there would only be one outcome, and that was to be eliminated and forgotten. Li Fan was such a person. In order to achieve his goals, he would do his best. Since he was a man, he should give it his all. It was precisely because of this that he established Phenomenal Escort Agency and decided to fight for a dazzling result in his lifetime. Go back and work harder. Bai Lin Luo could not help but comfort Lu Xiaohu. It was rare for Li Fan to take a fancy to someone. If Lu Xiaohu did not work hard, Li Fan would soon forget him. This time, he was willing to bring Lu Xiaohu out to let him grow. However, in Bai Lin Luo's view, Lu Xiaohu was still young and only in the 3rd year of middle school. It would be a little difficult for him to understand these principles. He was just a lecherous kid. He was still young, and it would be fine as long as he was nurtured patiently. Bai Lin Luo was still somewhat accommodating to Lu Xiaohu, but not to Li Fan. To Li Fan, he hated people who didn't want to improve themselves. Back then, when Lei wanted to live with a woman, Li Fan was a little disappointed. After all, in his heart, he still hoped that Lei would be ambitious and be willing to do something big with him. Where are we? Susu glanced at the GPS in her hand. The signal in the truck was blocked, and the only thing that could contact the outside was this GPS device. When we reach the West Pier, we will transfer the goods. Susu said, we will arrive in about an hour. Why not take the plane? Lu Xiaohu could not help but ask again. The plane is not safe, it's like a cross in the sky. Li Fan could not help but feel a lingering fear when he remembered the time when he escorted Lu Xinan. It's better to take the boat, it's more secure. At the boat, it's likely to be an ambush site. Bai Lin Luo played the role of a military advisor at this time. Because many people have gone to escort the goods, only old Guan will be there to receive us. Yes, he alone is enough. Li Fan nodded. He was very familiar with Guan Wenbao's strength. This brother had trained hard day and night, and his strength had reached the peak. He could be called his right-hand man. Well, everyone get ready. Little Four Eyes, you will be in charge of protecting Lu Xiaohu. Li Fan began to assign tasks. Okay, no problem. What about me? Susu pointed at herself. You are our trump card, you will naturally come in handy at critical times. Chapter 585. The large truck slowly approached the dock of the Tianjin port. In order not to attract attention, Li Fan deliberately chose a secluded small dock. A small yacht was waiting there. This yacht was bought by the Shield of China. The boat was 15 meters long and had 3 floors. It was white. Although the boat was not particularly big, its speed was not slow, which was in line with Li Fan's requirements. The truck stopped on the shore. 4 special soldiers of the Shield of China jumped out and opened the door. A ray of light shone into the car. It was a little dazzling, and Lu Xiaohu could not help but close his eyes. The prisoner number 09, who was locked in a cage, was carried out of the truck and placed on a pole board, waiting to be transported to the boat. Take off his blindfold and gag. After Li Fan jumped out of the car, he gave the order. This prisoner is very dangerous. It's not good for you to do this, right? Susu asked. Don't worry. Li Fan said, it was boring along the way. I'll see if I can get any information from his mouth. Go, remove his blindfold and gag. Yes. A special soldier nodded. At this time, Li Fan was their highest officer. Hearing the officer's order, he immediately carried it out and removed the prisoner's blindfold and gag. The prisoner also frowned before slowly opening his eyes. Yo! Prisoner number 9 looked at the people in front of him, and the corner of his mouth slowly floated into a smile. He was Chinese, and his Mandarin was very fluent. You guys are escorting me. How can this be? I thought there would be at least 10 tanks and 5 fighter jets to escort me. This person was handsome, but his skin seemed pale because he had not seen the sun for many years. However, his complexion was still very good, and his whole body was in good condition. There was even a little indifference in his voice. There's no need for so many. I alone am enough. Li Fan stood in front of prisoner number 09 with his hands behind his back. Forgive me for being ignorant. After all, I haven't been out for a long time. Prisoner number 9 politely asked Li Fan, may I know your name? My name is Li Fan, the head of Fictional Escort Agency. Li Fan introduced himself. We'll be together for a long time. Don't call me by the wrong name. All right. This person was cultured and refined, introducing himself. I am called Kai Yang, everyone likes to call me Mr. Yang. From what you said, you should be a person of status, right? Li Fan asked, and he should be very knowledgeable. Why did he kill people? Brotherly, we have different philosophies. Kai Yang was very refined. My whole life, I have been serving my ideals. What philosophy? Tell me about it. Save the world. Kai Yang said. Are you kidding me? The 2 people beside you are mutants, right? Yang Kai pointed at Bai Lin Luo and Lu Xiaohu with his eyes. So what if I am? Lu Xiaohu, who was still unhappy, snorted at Kai Yang. They are like a virus, polluting this beautiful world. Kai Yang continued, 20 years ago, there was an organization called the Golden Empire. The people in their organization were all mutants, and they wanted to change the entire world. They wanted to kill all the ordinary humans, leaving only the mutants. They called it evolution. Only the evolved humans are worthy of the new world. So 20 years ago, these people started one war after another, killing who knows how many ordinary humans. Golden Empire. Li Fan frowned. This was the first time he heard of this place. The Golden Empire was a radical mutant organization. Su Su walked over and explained to Li Fan, but 20 years ago, they were already destroyed. But it seems like there are still some survivors, and they want to continue their evolution. You guys are still mutants. Mr. Yang said, for the sake of this world, we can only get rid of them. The Golden Empire is extreme enough, but you guys are not far off. Li Fan looked at Mr. Yang, bro, it's not up to you to decide what happens in this world. Who knows how many innocent people have died in your hands? As long as it is a mutant, they will definitely do unforgivable things. Mr. Yang said, this power should belong to the gods. It was the demons who stole this power and sent it to the human world. Once a human grasps a power that does not belong to them, their hearts will be taken away by the demons. There are also mutants who are not like what you think. Li Fan emphasized, you won't even let a single mutant go. People like you, do you think you are qualified to talk about ideals? To achieve great things, there must be sacrifices. Mr. Yang said, brotherly, there is an old saying that I think you should know. A general success is built on 10,000 bones, do you remember? I am sorry, but I cannot accept your ideals. Li Fan shook his head, what awaits you is a trial. It doesn't matter, I can carry out my ideals myself, I don't need others to understand. Mr. Yang smiled. On the path of philosophy, you can't expect everyone to be your companion. This person's gaze was firm. Li Fan felt that it was difficult to communicate with him. However, I will not necessarily go to this trial. Mr. Yang said, I have been doing this for so many years, I still have some status in Hunter. If you are not important to Hunter, I would not have brought you here. Li Fan smiled, Mr. Yang, do you think that we will not be able to leave this port? Mr. Yang's eyebrows slightly knitted together. At this moment, 10 men dressed in black suddenly appeared on top of the surrounding containers. Each of them was equipped with hunter's weapons, and each of them was staring at them like a tiger watching its prey. Everyone be careful. Su Su exclaimed, the people from Hunter are here. The 10 experts from Hunter jumped down one after another, using all kinds of supernatural powers in an attempt to save Mr. Yang. From a few cars beside them, many hunters rushed out with weapons in their hands, charging towards Li Fan. For Special Forces soldiers immediately raised their weapons, surrounded the cage, and started shooting at the hunters. The 10 experts in black were equipped with weapons, and the ordinary hunters were injectors of Angel Gene. These people held an explosion-proof shield in one hand, and a katana in the other, surrounding the group. Bai Lin Luo threw Wang Xiaoyuan to block their attacks. However, there were too many people on the other side, and there were experts in the formation, so the situation was dangerous. Brotherly, you see, I am indeed very important to them. Mr. Yang said slowly, perhaps Brotherly has some special ability to deal with these excellent soldiers. Chapter 586. Let's look down and we'll know. Li Fan didn't panic. He crossed his arms and stood there with a smile on his face. At this moment, a man in armor rode a warhorse like a god descending from the sky. He waved a crescent moon blade and directly jumped off the cruise ship. The war horse was also armored and neighed. Its steps were light as it landed on the ground. With a wave of the crescent moon blade, 3 hunters were cut down. Guan Wenbao. This descendant of the Guan family's battle prowess was doubled on horseback. Riding on his beloved Lisa, he brandished his sharp sword and slashed his way through the enemies. These hunters weren't even a match for Guan Wenbao, and they were all cut down by him. Mr. Yang's face turned slightly pale, but he still said, "So you've hidden such an expert. But if it's just him alone, he won't be able to deal with the warriors of the gods." The 10 black-clothed experts unleashed their special ability weapons and attacked Guan Wenbao. Even if it was Guan Wenbao, it would be difficult for him to deal with so many experts by himself. However, Li Fan smiled and said, "Mr. Yang, don't look down on my fiefin escort agency. I still have some people under me." As he spoke, 2 figures slowly walked out from the darkness. One was white-haired but had the demeanor of an immortal. He wore a white robe and looked like an old man who practiced Taiji in the park in the morning. However, his eyes were bright and he walked with a majestic gait. He was more vigorous than some of the young men. He stood on top of the container and stared at the battlefield like a falcon. The other one was wearing an ordinary sea sole shirt and a pair of camouflage shorts. His legs were strong and the muscles on his calves looked like they could explode. They contained unimaginable energy. Big Dipper, Flying Dragon. Thank you for your hard work, escorts from Beijing 11 Cavalries. Li Fan cupped his hands at them. Chief Escort, leave it to us. Big Dipper laughed, his voice deep and resounding. Mr. Yang was confused. There was an old man and a strong man. Could the 2 of them handle Hunter's 10 masters? At this moment, Fei Long attacked first. It should be said that he had kicked out. He stood there and suddenly whipped out his right leg. A whirlwind burst out, directly ripping apart the 2 black-clothed experts and sending them flying. On the other hand, 7 Star simply stood on the container in a horse stance, and the black-clad expert below was immediately sent flying over 10 meters away. His body was embedded in a container, and there was a clear fist imprint on his chest. When the 2 of them attacked, Mr. Yang's face finally turned completely pale. There were so many experts in Hunter, but none of them were a match for them. At this moment, a black-clothed expert broke through the blockade. The ability on his saber was a kind of black shadow. This person stood up from the shadow behind Li Fan. He held a knife and wanted to stab Li Fan's neck from behind. He had undergone training, so his movements were clean and precise, and his attack was swift. However, Li Fan did not even turn his head. The Aries god popped out from behind him and slapped the black-clothed expert into the ground like he was swatting a fly. Mr. Yang, if you need anything important in the future, remember to look for us, Fifin. It's fate that we know each other, so I can give you a 20% discount. You guys are martial artists. Mr. Yang quickly regained his composure. Martial artists are not allowed to interfere with the world of normal people and mutants. Are you going to break the treaty? Break the treaty? Li Fan raised an eyebrow. I don't know who made the treaty with you guys, but the person with the most authority in the martial arts world is my fiancé. From what I know, she doesn't have such an unwritten treaty with you guys. It's a treaty from 20 years ago. Susu let out a sigh of relief when she saw the situation had stabilized. As expected, it was the right decision to hand it over to Li Fan. He actually had so many hidden experts. 20 years ago, there was a terrible war between the martial fighters and the mutants. Both sides suffered heavy casualties. Therefore, we came up with this treaty to not interfere with each other's affairs. Sorry, 20 years ago, I wasn't even born yet. This treaty can't bind me. Li Fan shrugged. Not to mention, my brother was among the people you wanted to kill. So, you guys started it first, understand? Brother Lee is eloquent. Since that's the case, we'll wait and see. Mr. Yang watched as everyone who came to save him was defeated. He did not say anything else. Okay, looks like we've reached a temporary consensus. Li Fan nodded and waved his hand. Let's call it a day. Someone will clean up the battlefield in a moment. For soldiers, I'll have to trouble you guys to transport our VIP. Mr. Big Dipper, Brother Fei Long, thank you for your help. Head escort, you're too polite. We're all working for you now, so it's only natural for us to do something. Big Dipper and Fei Long both looked at Li Fan with a smile. You're our boss now. Emichim, I've already sent the advance payment to your accounts. Li Fan said. I'll have to trouble you two to come with me on a trip abroad. It's fine. This old man has never left the country in his life. This time, I can go and experience it. Big Dipper was easygoing and Fei Long did not have any objections. As long as the escort is alive, the man is alive. Then I'll have to trouble you too. Li Fan cupped his hands to express his thanks. Guan Wenbao rode his warhorse to Li Fan's side. The crescent blade in his hand was still dripping with blood. The descendant of the Guan family sure has an extraordinary bearing. Big Dipper was overjoyed when he saw Guan Wenbao. For people in the pugilistic world, bloodline is very important. A loyal descendant like Guan Wenbao is someone every martial artist wants to befriend. Greetings, Mr. Big Dipper. Greetings, Big Brother Fei Long. Guan Wenbao jumped off his warhorse and bowed to them. Savior, I didn't fail you. He knelt down in front of Li Fan and bowed respectfully. Li Fan hurriedly helped him up. Why are you so polite? Go back to a city with Lisa. Leave the rest to the Yanjing 11 cavalry. Okay. Guan Wenbao nodded and stayed on the dock. I'll help Savior. They're already dead. What's the point? Li Fan laughed. These hunters are nothing special. They're not qualified to touch my fiefin escort agency's escort. Stop blowing your own trumpet. Get on the boat. Susu shouted at him. No matter how Li Fan heard it, it sounded like she was going to bed. He quickly patted his head, dispelled those unhealthy thoughts, and followed Susu onto the small boat. At this moment, a hunter who was knocked out woke up. With a fanatical look in his eyes, he pulled open his clothes and revealed the detonator inside. For the gods! This person is going to detonate the bomb. Chapter 587. The detonators tied to his waist could definitely send this small dock to the sky. Susu looked back, and her face changed. But Guan Wenbao suddenly raised his knife, and the man's head flew into the sky. He lost control of his body, and slowly fell to the ground. Take care, benefactor. Have a safe journey. Guan Wenbao said loudly. Looking at the head that rolled to the side, Susu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Li Fan's subordinates. What kind of people did he raise? The boat slowly left the port. They were going to be at sea for half a month. We're going to live together for half a month. Li Fan sat in the cabin, looking at Mr. Yang who was locked in front of him. Facing a group of men every day, it must be very uncomfortable. Mr. Yang's room was independent, but it had a glass wall, so that they could observe and see Mr. Yang. This Mr. Yang, at this time, even going to the toilet was not a secret. But Mr. Yang looked at ease, and said slowly, "It's okay, as long as you provide me with something to eat every day. I'm a little suspicious of my French chef. His filet mignon is really good, I hope you can try it." "Then I'm really sorry, we don't have that condition here." Li Fan shrugged his shoulders, "This trip is only without a chef." In Li Fan's phenomenal escort agency, the best cook was Xia Yi. His little senior sister seemed to be in charge of the meals in Mount Hua, and her cooking was really superb. When she was not escorting, she would cook for everyone in the company, making them picky with food. They found it hard to swallow the food cooked by others. Tai Zhu's cooking was also very good. After leaving City A, Li Fan really missed the food cooked by these two people. On this boat, only the bread and canned food they had in reserve could be eaten. After 5 days, we can go to the dock to replenish our food. At that time, we can buy you 2 pieces of instant steak or something. That kind of thing can't be swallowed at all. Damn, aren't you busy implementing your philosophy to save the world? Why are you so particular? Saving the world doesn't mean lowering the quality of life. Mr. Yang said, Li Fan, do you know how China is inferior to other countries? How developed? No. Our country's standards aren't any worse than overseas. What China lacks are nobles. Mr. Yang said elegantly, during the 10 years of turmoil, the older generation of China's aristocrats were all overthrown. Those who later became rich were all nouveau riche after the reform and opening up. They didn't have the heritage of the nobles, nor did they have the level of culture that the nobles had. We, China, should have our own aristocrats. They can represent our identity. There are 2 things I don't agree with. Li Fan raised 2 fingers. First, there are still some old aristocrats in China. However, they are not in the open, but in the underworld. For example, Murong's family and Sima's family were both great families with centuries of history. Moreover, the nobles cannot represent Huaxia. The ones who can truly represent Huaxia are all of us. A country cannot be represented by a small number of people. Perhaps what you said is reasonable, but it can't change my mind. Mr. Yang's way of thinking was deeply rooted. He was always the one who brainwashed others. It was too difficult for Li Fan to change his mind. Mr. Li, do you know that I'm actually a mutant? During the long time on the ship, Mr. Yang always found an opportunity to chat with Li Fan. What he said today surprised Li Fan. You're also a mutant. Even Susu was shocked when she heard this. They had imprisoned 09 for so many years, but this was the first time they heard that he was also a mutant. Just by staying with Li Fan for a while, he was actually willing to say such valuable information. However, was this information true or false? This Mr. Yang was too powerful. His words couldn't be fully trusted. If you don't believe me, you can actually try. Mr. Yang said indifferently, my ability is the kind that doesn't hurt people. You can rest assured. Since you're a mutant, why do you want to kill other mutants? Susu asked angrily. Because mutants are sinful. Aren't you a mutant yourself? I'm deeply sinful. Mr. Yang's expression didn't change. He said naturally, when I eliminate all the sins in this world, I will end my own life, go see the gods, and beg for their forgiveness. You're really a madman. Susu immediately said. I'm not a madman. Mr. Yang shook his head, because I have faith. People without faith, they're the madmen. Susu actually couldn't refute. What ability do you have? Li Fan felt that it was more important to first ask about Mr. Yang's ability. Maybe when they reached Geneva, he wouldn't be willing to say it. My ability requires others to come into contact with me for it to be effective. Mr. Yang said, brotherly, if you don't mind, you can come in and try. Susu quickly stopped him, don't listen to him. This person definitely wants to trick you. He's full of evil ideas. No problem. Li Fan waved his hand, I want to see what tricks he can play. Big Dipper, Fei Long, you two help me. Little Four Eyes, you go to the deck and keep watch. Le Xiaohu. You can do whatever you want. Lu Xiaohu was a bit dumbfounded. The high school entrance exam was coming. What could he do on this ship? To let him read, he really couldn't bear to continue reading. But if he didn't study, he definitely wouldn't be able to enter a good high school. Don't worry, the bureau chief has already arranged it. Su Su saw Lu Xiaohu's anxiety and patted his shoulder. You can directly enter a high school. 4th high school, Renmin High School, 11th high school, you can choose. Ah, really? There's such a good thing. Lu Xiaohu immediately smiled. Okay, then I'm relieved. Li Fan looked at him helplessly, then turned and walked into Mr. Yang's room. Lu Xiaohu, this kid, if he doesn't know how to improve himself, no one can help him. Li Fan walked into the glass room and stood in front of Mr. Yang. Touch my forehead and you'll know what my ability is. But, brotherly, do you dare? Are you trying to provoke me? Li Fan said, even if you don't provoke me, I'll still try. With that, Li Fan wrapped his body with true energy and then placed his hand on Mr. Yang's forehead. At this moment, Li Fan felt an electric current coming from Mr. Yang's forehead and instantly entered Li Fan's body. But this electric current didn't hurt Li Fan. Instead, it stimulated Li Fan's brain and projected a scene in his mind. Chapter 588. Li Fan realized that he had become a child. Beside him stood an adult, a man and a woman. The man was handsome and the woman was pretty. Both of them were talented. The two of them held his hand and walked on the street of a small foreign town. The people in this town were friendly and enthusiastic. This small town seemed to be a historical capital. The surrounding buildings were all in an ancient style. The clean streets and old buildings made Li Fan feel as if he had returned to medieval Europe. Li Fan felt happy. This seemed to be Mr. Yang's emotion. And this child should also be the young Mr. Yang. Mom, I'm hungry. The young Mr. Yang spoke, and Li Fan could even feel a sense of hunger. Open your mouth. Did you forget what I said? Mr. Yang's father, who was wearing a neat suit, scolded softly. A gentleman shouldn't talk about hunger. But Dad, I'm really hungry. Okay. Let's go eat something. Mr. Yang's mother spoiled her son. Thank you, Mom. Li Fan felt happy. The young Mr. Yang would be happy just because he could eat delicious food when he was hungry. However, at this moment, a few figures suddenly descended from the sky in their line of sight. These figures landed on the ground. Some released lightning, some spat fire, and some created ice. The whole street turned into hell in a blink of an eye. Many people died and many were injured. The street was in chaos. The survivors ran for their lives. Mr. Yang's parents panicked. His father carried Mr. Yang, who had not reacted yet. He pulled his mother with one hand and turned to run. A little girl was crying in the ruins. Beside her was her mother who was crushed to death by the rubble. Only one arm was exposed. The little girl squatted on the ground and held her mother's hand. She cried and shouted, "Mom! Mom! Wake up!" Another building was split by a mutant's lightning. It slowly collapsed to the ground. Take the child and leave. Father Yang didn't hesitate. He put Mr. Yang on the ground and ran to the little girl. He picked up the little girl, but the collapsing building instantly buried them. Husband! Mother Yang let out a heart-wrenching scream. A mutant with wings on his back flew over. When he saw Mother Yang, a cruel smile appeared on his face. Lowly people must be eliminated. No! Mother Yang squatted down and hugged Mr. Yang. Countless arrows flew over and hit Mother Yang's body. Li Fan woke up and looked at Mr. Yang, who was sitting in front of him. Mr. Yang's face was indifferent, as if it was just a movie that had nothing to do with him. "What I saw was your memory?" Li Fan asked as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. "Yes, this is my special ability." Mr. Yang nodded. "After my parents died, it probably gave me too much stimulation, which allowed me to awaken this special ability. Maybe that's why the mutant didn't kill me. These are the reasons for your revenge." "No, it's just a fuse." Mr. Yang said, "This disaster took away my parents, but this is a test given to me by the gods. I survived and joined the faction of the gods to redeem the world and eliminate the demons. He's just a kid. Do you think they're also devils?" Li Fan pointed at Lu Xiaohu, who was waiting for an opportunity to peek at Susu's underwear. "The little girl you saw in your memory, is she guilty?" Mr. Yang asked. "Mutants are devils. Sooner or later, they will become murderous devils. How is your judgment different from the people of the Golden Empire?" Li Fan snorted, the pot calling the kettle black. "Perhaps what you said is reasonable." Mr. Yang looked at Li Fan and suddenly said, "If you're willing, I can let you join Hunter to convince the others. The mutants are guilty. This is unchangeable. But we can develop some kind of genetic drug to inject into the mutants to make them lose their superpower." Li Fan looked at Mr. Yang again. "Are you serious? Hunter's main purpose is to save the world. Killing people is not our main purpose." Li Fan frowned and then slowly relaxed. "Mr. Yang, you're really good. You almost convinced me. But what you said can't cover up the sins you've committed. To me, putting down the butcher's knife and becoming a Buddha is not possible. Brotherly, putting down the butcher's knife and becoming a Buddha means that if a person puts down the greed, anger, and delusion in his heart, he will have the opportunity to become a Buddha. It means that all living beings are equal and everything can become a Buddha. Go away, don't show off your knowledge to me. In short, you have to go to trial." Li Fan rolled his eyes. "After all, there's still 1 million left. My task is to escort you to Geneva for trial. You just wait to go to jail in Geneva. Brother Li's life is really pure. It's really enviable." Mr. Yang looked at Li Fan with envy, "But the world is very complicated. It's not as black and white as Brother Li. So, if there are people like Brother Li, there must also be people like me." He suddenly said, "Since you're here, why don't we talk about the Golden Empire?" "Why talk about them? They will definitely come to kill me. So, I have to give you a heads up." Mr. Yang smiled and said, "Wasn't the Golden Empire destroyed?" "Yes, it was destroyed." Mr. Yang nodded. "Then, do you know who destroyed the Golden Empire?" "You're not going to say it's you guys, right?" "It's us." Mr. Yang's face turned serious. "How do you think Hunter was established? How could I create such a huge organization by myself to fight against the Golden Empire? Hunter is an organization invested by all the countries in the world." Mr. Yang's words surprised Li Fan. "They nurtured us and let us destroy the Golden Empire. But then, we became useless. So, we became chess pieces that were discarded. And we found our faith. The gods saved us and let us continue to live. As for the other countries, they defeated the Golden Empire and captured the leader of the Golden Empire, a man called God of Creation. The other countries stole the mutant gene from him and used it to nurture their country's superweapon. Including China's shield, it was also the same. Some of the mutants in China's shield were born by injecting the mutant gene. Li Fan felt that his brain wasn't enough to handle it. Chapter 589. Mr. Yang's words subverted Li Fan's common sense. According to him, these countries had trained Hunter, the demon, and used him to kill the Golden Empire. They had captured the Golden Empire's big boss, stolen his genes, and trained their own mutants? I'm telling the truth, and I have no reason to lie to you. Mr. Yang was very calm. Since we are going to be together for so long, we should talk more and get to know each other better. I don't want to hear your flowery words. Li Fan frowned. I've never lied, so it's not flowery words. Mr. Yang emphasized. I'm telling the truth. You just don't want to accept the truth. Don't give me that. Alright, since you don't want to hear the truth, I'll share some information about the Gold Empire with you. Mr. Yang was not impatient. Seeing that Li Fan was unhappy, he changed the topic. The mutants that appeared in my memory are known as the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Fuck, are you trying to tell me about X-Men? Li Fan rolled his eyes. X-Men is a movie, but it's the truth now. Mr. Yang said slowly. The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse is a story from the Bible. The creator of the Gold Empire used it as a gimmick. You should know how narcissistic he is just by listening to the title he calls himself, the creator. I can feel it, but I think you're not bad either. Li Fan glanced at Mr. Yang. You and him are about the same, no one is worse than you. No. You're being too emotional. You've never seen the creator before. That's why you can say that. Compared to him, a person like me is like a small sorcerer in the presence of a great sorcerer. Whatever you say. Anyway, it doesn't affect my mission. Li Fan felt that they had talked a lot. Mr. Yang's words were always tempting. Li Fan didn't know what Mr. Yang was planning. Li Fan wasn't a scheming person. While he wasn't stupid, compared to Bai Lin Luo, Ling Tian, and Dong Yi, he definitely couldn't compare to them in terms of scheming. As for Mr. Yang in front of him, he was even more shrewd. Li Fan couldn't see through him, so it was better to stay away from him. Li Fan, you don't have to be afraid of me. You're not a mutant. Maybe we can even be friends. I'm not a mutant, but my brother is. Li Fan drew a clear line. If you want to do something to him, that means you want to do something to me. I'm sorry, but we're all enemies, pure enemies. Hearing you say that, I do feel a little sad. Mr. Yang sighed. Don't be sad. Think about what you're going to say in court. As Li Fan was scolding Mr. Yang, Bai Lin Luo's voice came from outside. Li Fan, there's a situation. Go out and take a look. Mr. Yang smiled and said to Li Fan, we have plenty of time. We can talk later. Stay here. When Li Fan came out of the glass room, Su Su and the rest had already gone upstairs. You stay here and keep an eye on him. Li Fan patted Lu Xiaohu's shoulder and ordered. Ah. Lu Xiaohu was stunned. Can I do it? He can't get out. What are you afraid of? Li Fan stuffed the walkie-talkie into his hand. If there's anything, just shout through the walkie-talkie. After that, Li Fan went upstairs. Suddenly, Lu Xiaohu's shout came from the earpiece. Master! Master! If you have something to say, say it. I want to pee. Scram! Li Fan stood on the deck. Basically, everyone on the boat was here, observing the surroundings together. Little Four Eyes, what did you see? Li Fan asked. Bai Lin Luo stretched out his hand and pointed to the side. In the seawater next to them, there was a figure breaking through the waves. It was a human figure. His feet stepped on the water like a shrimp soldier and crab general in ancient Chinese mythology. He could ride the wind, break the waves, and control the seawater. This person's speed was extremely fast. He was bare-chested, crossed his arms, and wore a pair of shorts. Barefoot, he stepped on the waves and caught up to Li Fan's boat. Be careful, it's a mutant. Susu recognized the identity of the other party. She was a little nervous. This person could ride the wind and break the waves. His level was definitely not low. He was at least an A-level mutant. Li Fan. The other party was a foreigner. He spoke in broken Chinese and asked Li Fan coldly. Sir, don't tell me you came all the way here to say hello to me. Li Fan, on the other hand, was very relaxed. He smiled and looked at this brother who suddenly appeared. Hand over Mr. Yang. This person went straight to the point and ordered. Hey, brother, who do you think you are? Do you think I have to give him to you just because you came all the way here? Li Fan laughed. I'm an officer of the Golden Empire, Poseidon. This brother shouted the name of a Greek god. Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Mr. Yang said your boss is narcissistic. Looks like this disease is contagious. If you don't hand over Mr. Yang, the waves will swallow your boat. The man called Poseidon raised the trident in his hand and swung it toward the sky. A huge wave immediately rose behind the cruise ship. It would sweep down at any moment and swallow the ship. 7-Star and Flying Dragon stood on the deck. Seeing this scene, they could not help but frown. They were martial artists, but they had entered the world of mutants. Facing these people with superpowers, the two martial artists had a headache. However, Li Fan was not the least bit nervous. Instead, he looked at Poseidon who was walking on the waves and said, Li Fan, have not experienced any storms or waves. Do you think you can scare me with this little wave? Looks like you don't know how powerful the Golden Empire is. Poseidon said and swung his trident down. The terrifying waves immediately came crashing down and were about to engulf the cruise ship. However, the great god of war popped out from Li Fan's back and struck a palm at the huge wave that was crashing down. Polar Ursa King Seal. Bang! The huge wave was forcefully squeezed out of the huge hole. The waves immediately dispersed and the cruise ship swayed with the wave. However, it quickly became quiet again. Poseidon was a little surprised. He did not expect the other party to be able to break his superpower. Come up and talk. Li Fan let the great Ares use the dragon toad's ingestion of water on Poseidon. Poseidon's body was immediately pulled over and thrown on the deck. Bang! Poseidon was clearly confused from the fall. His brain could not react. Fuck! Poseidon jumped up and tried to attack Li Fan. Susu, give him a gift. Chapter 590. Poseidon looked at the beautiful woman walking toward him. For some reason, he felt a chill in his balls. It was a subconscious thought. Poseidon did not know why he felt this way. My body is protected by the water ability. You can't hurt me. Poseidon took 2 steps back. His body rippled. He was releasing some kind of water-related ability. But Susu ignored it. Her ability was directly applied to the human body. She squeezed her palm toward Poseidon. Ow! A heart-wrenching scream came from the sea. When he saw Susu again, Poseidon was no longer as tough as before. Susu walked forward. He was so scared that he took a few steps back. What? What ability is this? An ability that specializes in dealing with men. Susu smiled sweetly. Li Fan and the other men felt a little pain in their balls. Susu's move was really a godly skill. A man was completely restrained by her. Anyone who wanted to go against her would have to think about how hard their balls were. After all, Poseidon was an A-level master. Among the martial fighters, his combat ability was at least at the peak of perfection. However, he was too unlucky to meet Susu on the same ship. The Widowmaker. Mr. Poseidon, thank you for coming all the way here to help. Li Fan squatted on the ground and looked at Poseidon. I have a few questions for you. Are you willing to answer them? Poseidon did not speak. Susu smiled. Her smile made Poseidon tremble in fear. Wait. Don't you Chinese treat your captives well? Poseidon's forehead was covered in cold sweat as he blurted out such a sentence. The trauma Susu had left in his heart was too great. No man could block this move. It was too unsolvable. His water curtain could block bullets, but it could not block the woman's attack. Li Fan. Are you still a man? You're actually hiding behind a woman. Poseidon looked at Li Fan angrily, trying to provoke Li Fan. I'm sorry, but I'm a pacifist. Li Fan smiled at Poseidon. Poseidon gritted his teeth in anger. Li Fan, you can't escape. Mr. Yang must die. With him, you won't be able to leave this area alive. Oh. Why do you say so? Li Fan. As a martial fighter, you've entered the world of mutants. You've broken the rules, so you have to pay the price. What's the price? Can't you just say it all at once? What are you waiting for? Li Fan rolled his eyes. You will know our power. As Poseidon spoke, he suddenly slapped the boat with his palm. With a rumbling sound, waves rose all around, and the boat began to sway. Susu didn't stand firm either. She grabbed Li Fan and pressed her chest against his arm to stabilize her body. Poseidon took the opportunity to slip away. He entered the sea as if he had returned home. It would be difficult for Li Fan to find him. This guy runs really fast. Li Fan instructed Wyvern. Brother Wyvern, please keep an eye on the deck. By Lin Luo, you and Brother Wyvern keep an eye on him. Okay. The two nodded in unison. Li Fan immediately walked into the cabin. Where are you going? Susu was curious. Why was Li Fan not keeping an eye on Poseidon? Why was he running into the cabin? Was there gold in the cabin? I'm going to get some information. What Li Fan hated the most was a fight that he wasn't prepared for. Now that he had a know-it-all on his ship, it was time to make use of him. However, when he reached the cabin, Li Fan was dumbfounded. Lu Xiaohu was sitting in the glass room, playing Gamoku with Mr. Yang on his phone. Lu Xiaohu. Li Fan almost exploded. This kid, does he want to die? Or is there something wrong with his brain? Fuck, uncle, you play Gamoku very well. Didn't you say you don't know how to play? Indeed, I don't know how to play. I only know some Go. Mr. Yang had a smile on his face. But I don't think Gamoku is very difficult. Lu Xiaohu was very depressed. He curled his lips. Fuck, there's no computer. Otherwise, young master would play 2 rounds of LOL with you. I guarantee that you would lose all your underwear. What is LOL? Lu Xiaohu mentioned something that Mr. Yang did not know. It's fancy masturbation. Li Fan walked in, took Lu Xiaohu out, and threw him outside. Brotherly, it's only been a while, and you're here to chat with me again. Mr. Yang laughed. There's still so much time. We don't have to rush. Let's take it slow. Mr. Yang, I think we should get straight to the point and have a chat. Li Fan sat opposite Mr. Yang and looked at him seriously. Who is Poseidon? Poseidon. Mr. Yang raised his eyebrows slightly. This is an expert from the Golden Empire. When the Golden Empire was destroyed, he was one of the survivors. Because his ability is water, he escaped from the sea in time. How many people are there in the Golden Empire? I don't know about that. Back then, only 5 people managed to escape. Mr. Yang said. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and Poseidon, only these 5 escaped. As for the rest, they were either dead or injured. But 20 years have passed. The Golden Empire must have trained some mutants. Since the other countries can research the drug, I think the Golden Empire can do it too. For an organization to rise again after being defeated like this, there must be someone supporting them from behind. Li Fan asked Mr. Yang. I need you to tell me what kind of organization is supporting these guys from behind. That's hard to say. Mr. Yang shrugged. Supporting the Golden Empire will have countless organizations profiting from it. Behind this, there might even be some big country supporting them. Mr. Yang looked at Li Fan with a smile on his face. Brotherly, I think you should ask some intelligence dealers about this kind of thing. I've been out of touch with the outside world for 20 years. How would I know what's happening outside? Intelligence dealers need to pay for their information. Li Fan gave his reason. It's free to ask for information from you. My information is outdated. Mr. Yang laughed bitterly. I haven't left prison for 20 years. What kind of information do you expect me to know? Then, what useful information do you have for Poseidon? Li Fan didn't give up and continued to ask. If I get to the bottom of it, I'll be able to get something. I only know that his ability is water. Mr. Yang said. Back then, his ability was B rank. But now, it should be a rank. This person is very cunning. He won't stop until he reaches his goal. Chapter 591. Mr. Yang could not provide much information, but he was very warm-hearted and told everything he knew to Li Fan. The cruise ship sailed quietly on the sea for a few days. These days were calm and peaceful. After Poseidon greeted them, he never appeared again. He was probably scared out of his wits by Susu's egg-crushing technique. Before he could think of a way to deal with Susu, Poseidon would probably not show up easily. Moreover, Li Fan strengthened Susu's protection. He let Big Dipper stay close to Susu to protect her. Li Fan, escort Li. As they neared the port, Susu seemed to be about to explode. She took advantage of the moment when Li Fan came out of the bathroom and suddenly grabbed him. Big Dipper seemed a little embarrassed. He coughed twice and the old man consciously stood at the corner. It's Susu. You want to attack in the middle of the night? Li Fan could not help but roll his eyes. There's no one in my room. You can come to my room. Who wants to go to your room, bad guy? Susu said angrily. She did not have her usual gentleness. But after all, she was a Sujo girl. When she scolded someone, she still had that kind of gentle feeling. Then why are you stopping me? You should rest early. It's all because of you that Senior Big Dipper hasn't slept yet. Big Dipper stood to the side and did not say anything. Actually, as a martial artist, he had been standing and sleeping for the past 2 days, guarding Susu's door. You still have the nerve to say that. Susu angrily rolled her eyes at Li Fan. You let an old man protect me all the time. You're cutting my life short. Of course not. Li Fan explained, Senior Big Dipper is a martial artist and an escort. Protecting you is just a small matter. But he's still an old man. We martial artists don't like to be called old. Li Fan reminded Susu. Senior Big Dipper is young and strong. His physical strength is better than you young people. Come on, he's still a senior. Cutting my life short. Susu said discontentedly, besides, I'm not a child anymore. Why do you need to protect me? Can't you just protect Le Xiaohu? Le Xiaohu is just a nobody. No one will have any ideas about him. Li Fan said, but you are different. Your ability is too strong, especially for men. You can kill them all. You're a strategic weapon, understand? That's why we have to protect you. I don't want it. This will make me very unhappy. Susu said, I feel awkward letting an old man follow me all the time. Alright, then let Big Brother Flying Dragon protect you. Li Fan said, you have seen his strength, he is very powerful. Once I use Tempest Kick, I'll be able to deal with ordinary mutants. Do you think mutants are everywhere? That you can just grab a handful? Susu glanced at Li Fan. There aren't many mutants left, okay? Especially those powerful mutants with super abilities, there aren't many left. Susu's face turned a little pale as she spoke. Back then, our bureau chief was a mutant with super mental strength. His telekinesis was so strong that he could even stop a train. What the f? Such a powerful person. Li Fan was stunned when he heard that. However, they all died in the hands of Hunter, Li Fan pondered. If what Mr. Yang said was true, it meant that Hunter was an organization cultivated by various countries. He did not know if there was any support from China, but they did destroy China's own Special Abilities Bureau, China's shield. Susu, what was the Special Abilities Bureau like at that time? Li Fan suddenly asked a question. The Special Abilities Bureau was very powerful at that time. I heard that even the chairman had to make an appointment to see the bureau chief at that time. Moreover, the people from the Special Abilities Bureau have immunity for murder. They can kill people first before reporting, but not now. Every time I use my ability, I have to make several reports. It's so annoying. I see, Li Fan nodded. Let's not talk about this first. Let Brother Filong protect you from now on. No. Susu shook her head. I'm not very familiar with Brother Filong. I'm sorry. You're on a business trip. Sis, are you going to let Little Four Eyes protect you? Li Fan was helpless. His strength isn't very stable, and he doesn't have much experience. I'm a little worried about him when it comes to protecting people. Forget about Little Four Eyes. He's also someone to be protected. Susu winked at Li Fan. Isn't there another candidate? Oh. You mean Lu Xiaohu? Li Fan nodded. Although he's a little young, he's a good match for you. You deal with men, and he deals with women. Perfect. Fuck you, you indecent guy. Susu rolled her eyes at Li Fan angrily. Then, she reached out and grabbed Li Fan's collar. Because he had just taken a shower, Li Fan was only wearing a pair of cropped pants and a flowery shirt. His chest and lower abdomen muscles were exposed. As Susu grabbed his collar, Li Fan hurriedly said, Hey. What are you doing? Don't force yourself, okay? I'm still a virgin. Go to hell. Susu almost vomited blood. You're such a nuisance. I want you to protect me. Li Fan blinked. Me? Since I'm a nuisance, why do you want me to protect you? Besides, aren't you being too arrogant? You actually want the chief escort to be your guard. How much are you paying? Boss Li, don't talk about money. Don't you think you're too cold? Susu gently pulled Li Fan's arm and whispered in his ear, no matter what, we're comrades, don't say that. We're just working together temporarily. Li Fan winked at Susu. We're doing business. If you want my protection, you'll have to pay more. Profiteer. Susu said angrily. We're all on the same boat. Would it kill me to ask you to protect me? Willful little girl. Li Fan shrugged. $100,000. I'll protect you to Geneva. You're too black-hearted. This is already a friend and family price, okay? Li Fan emphasized. I'm the chief escort of Fictional Escort Agency. Appointing me to protect them will cost at least 200,000 a week. You're a famous prostitute in Jiangnan, so expensive. Susu rolled her eyes. Chief escort, do you understand the meaning of these 3 words? Li Fan crossed his arms and looked at Susu proudly. I fought my way to this position with my own fists. You get what you pay for. Whether you want it or not, I won't force you. Chapter 592. The title of head of escort carried a deep meaning. These 3 words not only represented the leader of the escort agency, but also the strongest. Li Fan's position was built up through his fists. There was no one in the escort agency who did not admire him. Other than Chang Hong, no one was stronger than him in the entire phenomenal escort agency. As for Chang Hong, he was already in his twilight years and was basically in a state of retirement every day. Basically, Li Fan would give Chang Hong a pension every month and would not assign any tasks to him. To Chang Hong, he only had one task, and that was to find his successor. This old man's martial arts, especially his rainbow sword, must be passed down. It would be terrible if the incense line was cut off. 50,000. Susu considered for a long time and suddenly extended 5 fingers. Deal. Li Fan agreed without hesitation. Susu suddenly froze for a moment, then looked at Li Fan in surprise. Are you crazy? You agreed just like that. You're not going to bargain. Haven't we already haggled over the price? Li Fan tilted his head and looked at Susu. You unscrupulous businessman. You're clearly profiting. Susu suddenly recalled something. They were all on the same boat. As long as Li Fan did not disembark, he would definitely protect her. However, he did not need to stay close to her. She was equivalent to giving Li Fan 50,000 for free. Every word is worth 1,000 gold. Li Fan's lips curled into a smile. You're not allowed to go back on your word. Those who go back on their word are dogs. You bastard. Susu was fuming. Li Fan patted her shoulder. Young lady, don't be so hot-tempered. Young people need to be patient. Fuck, you cheated me of 50,000 with just a few words. How can I not be hot-tempered? Susu's eyes were about to roll to the sky. You're a personal bodyguard. 50,000 is not much, right? Besides, you're working at China Shield. How can your salary be low? How do you know my salary is high? Damn, you're a special civil servant of the government. Li Fan immediately emphasized, when I was in school, I read a lot of novels about the Dragon Group. Those government agents can earn hundreds of thousands or even millions a month. Do you think money grows on trees? Susu rolled her eyes. How can we stuff taxpayers' money into our pockets like that? My monthly salary is about 15,000. If you complete a lot of missions, you'll get a year-end bonus. Damn, so little. This surprised Li Fan. My salary as an escort is higher than yours. The salary of the 11 cavalrymen in Yanjing was about 20,000 to 30,000. The Rainbow was a little higher, 40,000 a month. However, if they were to act as bodyguards, they would be able to get a bonus. Therefore, an escort could earn at least 1,000,000 yuan a year. How high do you think our salaries are? If we really had such high salaries, who would be corrupt? Susu said, I saved this 50,000 yuan by living frugally. Okay, I'll give you my Alipay. Li Fan took out his phone. Aw. You want it now? Pay half of the deposit first. This is the rule. Li Fan added Susu as a friend. Come, I'll hand over the money and the person. Tisk. Susu unwillingly transferred 25,000 to Li Fan. Got it. Okay, Senior 7-star, you can go rest. Leave this to me. Li Fan said politely to 7-star. Okay, then I'll go to sleep. 7-star's temper was very good. He immediately returned to his room and left them alone. Okay, it's time to loosen my collar. My shirt is a famous brand, Bolino. It'll be a pity if you ruin it. Li Fan said. Bastard, Susu couldn't help but curse. No matter what, I'm your employer now. You have to listen to me. I'm only responsible for protecting your safety. I don't have to listen to you. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. You just rest in peace. Leave the rest to me. That's more like it. Susu tangled with Li Fan for a while, then I'm going to take a shower. You protect me at the bathroom door. Damn, are you afraid that someone will kill you while you're taking a shower? Li Fan couldn't help but complain. You have to protect this lady. Susu said a little proudly, I paid for it. You have to serve this lady well, understand? Li Fan felt that it sounded a little weird. Fuck, does she still think of me as a lady? Forget it, I've taken someone's money. This 50,000 yuan is not for nothing. Li Fan crossed his arms and stood at the bathroom door, acting as a doorman. The moment Susu stepped in, Lu Xiaohu walked toward the bathroom with a towel in his hand, humming a song. What are you doing? Li Fan stopped him. I'm taking a shower, master. Lu Xiaohu said, this boat is too hot, I'm sweating. Go back to sleep. Li Fan directly drove him back. Why, master, why won't you let me take a shower? Lu Xiaohu was a little unhappy. My body is sticky, it's uncomfortable. Susu is taking a shower, you wait for a while. Sister Susu is taking a shower. Lu Xiaohu's eyes immediately lit up, master. This is a great opportunity. What opportunity? To admire Sister Susu's body. Lu Xiaohu immediately said. Do you have any prospects? As a man, you don't think about making progress every day, but always think about looking at a woman's body. This is a serious matter, master. Lu Xiaohu said in all seriousness, the reason why we humans are divided into men and women is because we have the great mission of carrying on the family line. And you see, our country has a flaw. There has always been a serious flaw in sex education. No one taught me this, I can only learn by myself. Master, look at your disciple's ambition, aren't you touched? Li Fan was so angry that he laughed. He looked at Lu Xiaohu, feeling a bit like his past self. It's just that this kid is too lacking in ambition. If I don't teach him, he might become useless. If you want to see Susu take a shower, you can. Really, master? Thank you so much, master is really benevolent and righteous. Of course it's true, but you have to defeat me first. Li Fan stood there with his arms crossed. What the? Master, you're kidding me. Lu Xiaohu almost collapsed, how can I beat you? Liking women is a man's nature, there's no doubt about it. Li Fan said word by word, but no woman likes a good-for-nothing. Fight for it yourself. Li Fan said, Lu Xiaohu, don't let me look down on you. Chapter 593. Master. You're too much. No matter what, I, Lu Xiaohu, am still a man. Lu Xiaohu said angrily, today, I'll let master know that I, Lu Xiaohu, also have a temper. With that, he stretched out his right hand and spread his fingers at Li Fan. Li Fan was still standing there with his arms crossed. What's the use of making my underwear disappear? Li Fan rolled his eyes at Lu Xiaohu. Other than the fact that your balls are a little cold, is there any other effect? But master, I only know how to do this. Lu Xiaohu lowered his head gloomily. Then go back to sleep. Li Fan said snappily. This kid had kung fu, but he didn't practice it. Instead, he just sat around and waited for death. He actually wanted to accept him as a disciple. What a pity for such a good seedling. Li Fan couldn't help but sigh deeply. Li Fan planned to open a martial arts school. Since he was going to open a martial arts school, it was inevitable that he would accept a disciple. With a martial arts school, there would definitely be a lot of people who would challenge him. Li Fan also had other things to do. He couldn't possibly be busy fighting every day. Therefore, most of the time, the matter of dealing with challengers had to be thrown to his own disciple. He was already the chief escort, so he couldn't do everything by himself. But Lu Xiaohu, this kid was really a hopeless case. Master, go to sleep. Okay, then can I come out later to take a shower? Whatever. Li Fan reprimanded him snappily and watched Lu Xiaohu return to his room unwillingly. Aren't you being a little too harsh on Lu Xiaohu? Su had just finished her shower. Wrapped in a bath towel, she walked out of the bathroom. Her body was still damp and exuded the unique body fragrance of a girl. Can't you be more careful? Li Fan was speechless. No matter what, I'm still a boy. You dressing up like this is simply a provocation to me. Hee, Boss Li, what do you want to do to me? Su suddenly thought of something, and the hand that was originally on Li Fan's shoulder slowly retracted. She gently covered her mouth and said, No, Li Fan, I just remembered that I spent money to hire you, so I'm your boss now. You can't be rude to the boss, or it will affect the reputation of your agency in the future. Fuck, Li Fan felt rather helpless. This woman, she was determined to eat him alive. This little girl Su is not simple. I can't underestimate her. Actually, you're already an adult. If you want to do some shameful things with me, it's not impossible. Su suddenly threw out another piece of bait, which landed right in front of Li Fan. Li Fan's expression was a little nervous. Damn it, what was this woman going to play this time? Even if it's the boss and the escort. I think, if there's a beautiful love story, perhaps it'll be a very romantic memory. Su leaned against Li Fan's side and lightly licked her lips. Although she had accepted the temptation of Murong's love for that little girl, Susu's method was a little different. She knew how to provoke a man. Little Li Fan seemed to be impatient to step forward, as if he was ready to go into battle at any time. Susu's rosy lips were right in front of him, carrying a fatal temptation. There was a tender and alluring feeling, waiting for someone to taste it. Li Fan, my mouth is so dry. Susu lightly licked her lips. Li Fan only had one impulse. He suddenly took a step forward and pressed Susu against the wall, causing her to let out a cry of surprise. This woman was in a daze, her cheeks flushed red, as if she was in a trance. However, she stretched out her hands and gently pressed them on Li Fan's shoulders, preventing him from taking another step. Li Fan. If I get emotional, I'll accidentally activate my superpower, fuck. Little Li Fan immediately gave up. These words were too fucking scary. After all, Li Fan was someone who had experienced personal pain. He could endure thousands of arrows piercing his heart, but he couldn't bear the pain of pinching his balls. Susu, did you do it on purpose? Why don't you guess? Susu let out a series of bell-like laughter, then ran into her room. Before closing the door, this girl even poked her little head out and waved at Li Fan. Darling, I'm going to sleep. Humph. Li Fan was really upset. She definitely did it on purpose. This woman was too mischievous. He had to find a chance to teach her a lesson. Li Fan stood at the door of Susu's room, his hands crossed over his abdomen, and entered into a meditative state. Li Fan's current strength was still somewhat lacking. His 7 heroes force had been stuck at the strength of 5 dragons for a long time, and he hadn't made any progress. And his star Luo force was currently stuck at the strength of 4 dragons. Li Fan remembered that he still had the 9 Buddha Sutra in his hand. Although he didn't carry it with him, the contents were imprinted in Li Fan's mind. He recalled the contents and began to practice the martial arts within. This move was called Subduing the Dragon. He withdrew the 7 heroes' force, and the spirit connecting meridian was cut into the main meridians. Li Fan began to circulate the star Luo power in his body. The true qi in the surrounding air was slowly absorbed into Li Fan's body. However, Li Fan controlled his martial arts to avoid affecting others. He only learned Lu Jinchan's moves to dabble in them, so that he could strengthen his own martial arts. As a martial artist, he must not be complacent and lock himself in a small field. Li Fan realized that this move, Subduing the Dragon, was somewhat similar to his dragon toad's ingestion of water. Lu Jinchan was indeed a genius. The moves he created were ingenious, and it felt like a stroke of genius. After learning the second move, the second acupoint in Li Fan's spirit connecting meridian was also broken. The 9 Buddha Sutra also had 9 levels of mental cultivation. After practicing one move, Li Fan unlocked 1 level of mental cultivation. A large amount of true qi gushed out of his dantian, and it merged with the true qi that was absorbed from the surroundings, and hid it in Li Fan's body. The star Luo power originally had the strength of 4 dragons, but at this moment, it also broke through to the strength of 5 dragons. The 2 martial arts were equal. Li Fan slowly exhaled, and then slowly switched his qi back to the state of 7 heroes force. Li Fan saw that his skin was slowly changing from dark to white. It seemed that when he activated the star Luo power, his skin would also turn black. This showed that this martial art did not seem to be a good martial art. His judgment was probably right. It was better not to use it unless it was absolutely necessary. At this moment, Li Fan heard a faint sound of fighting coming from the deck. He suddenly opened his eyes. It seemed that there were guests on the ship. Chapter 594. Someone would be on duty every night on this cruise ship bound for Geneva. Tonight, it was Bai Lin Luo's turn to be on duty. He sat on the deck of the cruise ship, looking at the constantly rolling sea, feeling slightly bored. Liao Qianqian, who was wearing a black sky scorpion armor, stood beside him without saying a word, like a statue. According to the requirements of the Special Abilities Bureau's teacher, Bai Lin Luo maintained the manifestation of the good guy card. Liao Qianqian was an A-class expert, but Bai Lin Luo was still somewhat puzzled. Why was she called Liao Qianqian instead of Liao Wushuang? Could it be that teacher Liao changed her name? Li Fan had never told Bai Lin Luo about Liao Qianqian, fearing that Bai Lin Luo would be hurt. This young man was quite innocent. Teacher Liao, you said that you have a sweetheart, but who is he? Bai Lin Luo gently adjusted his glasses and glanced at Liao Qianqian, who was standing next to him with a cold expression. He could not help but ask. However, Liao Qianqian was still standing there without saying a word, as if everything around her had nothing to do with her. As the manifestation of the good guy card, Liao Qianqian was just a prop without any emotions or independent thinking ability. Sigh. Speaking of which, you are no different from a robot. Bai Lin Luo sighed, feeling a bit complicated. The sea breeze was a bit chilly. As if sensing that its master was cold, Liao Qianqian took out a blanket from somewhere and draped it over Bai Lin Luo. Bai Lin Luo understood that this was just the good guy card's reaction to its master's physiological function. Since you are so sad, let me end you. Suddenly, a sneer came from behind. Liao Qianqian had already made her move, swinging her rapier and piercing through a wave behind her. A familiar figure stood there. It was Poseidon, who had appeared once before. He had hidden for a long time and finally found an opportunity to kill everyone on the ship while Susu was not around. He would start with Little Four Eyes. Although he was also a mutant, he was not a like-minded person. Therefore, he had to die. In the future, only one type of people could survive in the Gilded Empire, and that was the mutants chosen by God. This Bai Lin Luo, as a mutant, was actually a lackey of the House of Martial Fighters. He deserved to die. Poseidon waved his hand, and the water around him flowed into his palm, forming the shape of a trident. Clang! The Scorpio warrior Liao Qianqian did not hesitate. She thrust her sword forward and knocked Poseidon's trident away. However, Poseidon had been in hibernation for more than 20 years. His spiritual power had increased significantly. Under his control, a huge wave suddenly rose to the side like a ferocious beast, ready to devour the cruise ship at any time. Ha ha ha, rookie, your summoning ability is incomparable to my nature-type ability. Poseidon laughed. On the sea, I am the true god. As he spoke, the huge wave rose again. In a short while, it had grown to a height of over 100 meters. The dark mass resembled a cage of doomsday. Compared to it, the cruise ship was like a child's toy. At the same time, Liao Qianqian's sword was pressed against Poseidon's throat. The coldness on his throat was bone-chilling. Poseidon subconsciously swallowed his saliva. Stop using your ability. Otherwise, your throat will be pierced before the wave falls. Poseidon swallowed again. This Bai Lin Luo did not seem like a rookie at all. I am indeed a summoner. In terms of destructive power, I may not be as good as you. But in terms of killing, I am not any worse than you. After following Li Fan for so long, Bai Lin Luo had learned from Li Fan's habit of striking first. However, Poseidon could not be killed directly. If he was killed, the huge wave would go out of control and crash down on them. It all depended on Poseidon's choice. Would he live, or would he die with Li Fan? However, Bai Lin Luo believed that after the creator was killed, Poseidon had turned tail and run. Bai Lin Luo did not believe that Poseidon was fanatical about the Golden Empire. How about it? Do you want to die for the Golden Empire? Bai Lin Luo asked again. Poseidon suddenly said, Bai Lin Luo, do you think I am the only one here? As he spoke, a long tongue suddenly flew out of the sea and wrapped around Bai Lin Luo's neck. The tongue was wet and slippery, but it had a terrifying power. It was as if it was going to break Bai Lin Luo's neck. Bai Lin Luo, on the other hand, had lost the ability to breathe, and his face was red. However, Liao Qianqian still pressed her sword firmly against Poseidon's neck. She did not move an inch. You are still holding on. How long do you think you can hold on? Bai Lin Luo, you have no more bargaining chips. It is my turn now. Poseidon said proudly. We mutants are the strongest in this world. God has chosen us. I can give you a chance now. Join the Golden Empire and become one of us. Together, we will build this new great empire. Oh, yes. You cannot speak now. However, you can control your summoner. Make your choice. If you are willing to join us, keep your summoner. Liao Qianqian's sword gently pushed forward, causing a wound to appear on Poseidon's neck. Even so, Bai Lin Luo was still threatening Poseidon. Damn it, looks like you want to die. Poseidon's eyes sharpened. He was ready to kill. But at this moment, a hand suddenly grabbed the tongue. It's a little dirty. Come out and I will help you wash it. No one knew when Li Fan was standing there. With a tug of his hands, he dragged the owner of the tongue up and threw him onto the deck. This person was clearly a human, but he looked like a frog. It seemed like he was a mutant. Oh. A mutant. Li Fan looked at this mutant. There were many types of mutants. For example, Bai Lin Luo was a summoner, Poseidon was a supernatural, Su Su and Lu Xiaohu were magical, and this frog-like person in front of him was a mutant. You, why are you here? Poseidon looked at Li Fan in shock. Are you an idiot? Li Fan rolled his eyes. It was such a big commotion. Even a deaf person could hear it, okay? Li Fan said and pointed to the huge wave next to him. That's ridiculous, he said. Aren't you tired of making such a big wave? I will drown all of you. Poseidon was enraged. He controlled the wave and pushed it down, as if it would swallow the ship in an instant. Chapter 595. Liao Qianqian thrust the rapier in her hand at the same time. The rapier pierced through Poseidon's throat, but he quickly turned into liquid and dodged the fatal blow. Poseidon's body reappeared beside her, but there was still a wound on his throat. He had clearly been hit. If Poseidon had not used water pressure to stabilize his injury, he would have died from blood loss. Poseidon clutched the wound on his neck, but he laughed triumphantly. Die, all of you die. Let this wave swallow you bunch of trash. Poseidon roared. Li Fan stood there, raised his head, and looked at the huge waves falling from the sky. This was a crisis. Humans were indeed helpless in the face of such a powerful natural disaster. Then let me see if humans can defeat the heavens. The great god of war appeared behind Li Fan. The great god of war kept waving his palms at the huge wave, unleashing one palm strike after another. The Bear King's seal was unleashed continuously, and the waves splashed again and again. But the waves were too big, so big that Poseidon could not control them. He could only let the waves fall and swallow everything. Disaster and death seemed to be coming at any moment. Bai Lin Luo was also stunned. He did not know how to deal with this disaster. All he could hear was the sound of the waves, mixed with Poseidon's maniacal laughter. Li Fan suddenly took a deep breath. The great god of war stopped attacking and returned to his body. Bai Lin Luo was a little surprised. Did Li Fan give up? He was a martial artist. His body was strong, and he had the protection of true qi. This huge wave would not be able to kill him, but it could kill everyone else on the ship. Give up on everyone and live on alone. Impossible. This was not Li Fan's character. Sure enough, Li Fan looked at the huge wave that was already over his head and suddenly took a deep breath. His chest began to expand, and his shirt fluttered in the wind. The muscles on his chest looked like they were about to explode. Roar! Li Fan let out a long roar, like a shocking clap of thunder, soaring into the sky. The true qi in his body was released in one breath as if it was free. At that moment, Li Fan felt like he was a cannon. Jinqi was his cannonball. Boom! It was as if a clap of thunder had exploded in the sky. Li Fan's roar directly blasted a huge hole in that monstrous wave. Sound wave versus ocean wave. Li Fan won. Huge waves slammed into the surroundings, causing the entire ship to shake violently. As for Li Fan, he swallowed a soul-restoring pill that Bai Lin Luo had given him. He took a deep breath and stepped on the cruise ship with both of his feet, forcefully stabilizing the cruise ship in the waves. Poseidon was dumbfounded. He even forgot to cover his wound and let the blood flow freely. Is this still a human? Breaking a 100-meter tall wave with just one shout. Fukioma. Oh my God, Poseidon did not dare to show off anymore. He turned around and was about to jump into the water to escape when Li Fan used the dragon toad's ingestion of water to pull him in front of him. Trying to escape. You'll have to see if I'll let you. Li Fan said as he used the crane strike on Poseidon's acupuncture point. Even if he was a foreigner, his body structure was the same as that of a Chinese. It was the same for every acupuncture point. Poseidon had just released the monstrous wave and was at his weakest, so Li Fan's crane strike stopped him. What? What the hell is this? Poseidon could only use his mouth to speak, but his body could not move at all. What was this? Magic? Poseidon felt like his world was being destroyed. Wasn't this guy a martial artist? How could he have a special ability like body lock? But now, Li Fan did not give him time to think. He grabbed both of them and threw them into the cabin. What's wrong? What's wrong? Seeing Li Fan throw the two living people into the cabin, Susu and the rest ran out. Discovering that both of them were mutants, Susu took out two collars and put them around their necks without saying a word. What's this? When Li Fan saw the collar, he could not help but be surprised. This is the Zero Collar, Susu explained. It's used to temporarily seal the mutant's abilities. There's such a thing. How does it work? Li Fan was a bit surprised. Oh, it's actually able to sense mutants using their superpowers. Susu quickly said. When mutants use their superpowers, they will release a special type of brain wave. When the collar senses the brain wave, it will explode the mutant's head with a bang. Fuck. This thing is a bit too much, Li Fan was surprised. What if someone else uses their superpowers and the collar senses it? The brain wave is very weak. You can only sense it if you're very close. The neck is the best position. Susu shrugged. But if they're really affected by it, then they're unlucky. Susu. Have you ever thought that you're also a mutant? Li Fan reminded her. Do you want to be treated like this one day? I'm different from them. Their superpowers are used to kill people. Susu gritted her teeth. These people, they're the scum of the mutants. Don't ever compare me to them. Otherwise, I'll be angry. Okay, Li Fan had no other choice. Since these two people are indeed dangerous, he'll just use the collar to restrain them. Poseidon, you heard me. My seal on you won't last too long. You'll be able to move in about 10 seconds. But if you dare to use your superpowers, I won't be able to save you. I won't. I know this collar. Poseidon was not stupid. Poseidon was not an idiot. He said obediently, I am now a captive. You are Chinese. Please treat your captives well. Okay, as long as you tell me everything I want to know, I'll naturally treat you well. Poseidon was silent for a moment. Mr. Yang, who was sitting in the glass room, stared at them with interest. Come. Look, this is the Mr. Yang that you've been dreaming about. Li Fan threw Poseidon in front of the glass, letting him have intimate contact with Mr. Yang. I'm going to kill you. Kill you. Poseidon gritted his teeth through the window, as if he wanted to tear Mr. Yang apart. Li Fan walked over from behind and kicked him in the butt, causing him to fall to the ground. Behave yourself. You're in my territory and you're still so cocky. I have an irreconcilable grudge against this person. Poseidon was kicked to the ground by Li Fan, so he became a little more obedient. However, he still spoke angrily. Yo, that's a good idiom. Li Fan clapped his hands. Tell me, what grudge do you have against him? Chapter 596. If it wasn't for him, the Golden Empire would not have fallen to this state. Poseidon seemed to hate Mr. Yang. He could not help but growl, "That traitor. He betrayed us and the Creator." "No, no, no. You're mistaken." However, Mr. Yang was very calm and content. He did not look like a prisoner at all. Instead, he looked like a guest invited by Li Fan and the others. "I never said that I was one of you. You just thought too highly of yourselves." The conversation between the two of them was simple, but Li Fan understood a little. It turned out that this Mr. Yang had been a spy for a while in the past. Traitor. There's no use quibbling. Now that the four horsemen of the apocalypse have reunited, the Creator is preparing to return. Your doomsday is coming. The Creator is dead. His body has been divided among the big countries. Mr. Yang's face showed no fear. "I saw it with my own eyes. The dead can't be resurrected. The dead can't be resurrected, but he's the great Creator," Poseidon said excitedly. "He can create miracles. He can rebuild the Golden Empire. The people of the Golden Empire haven't changed after 20 years. They still like to daydream." "Fuck. You bastard. If you hadn't betrayed the Creator, this world would have been ours." "No, no, no. The world is big. We will always be the pawns of the gods," Mr. Yang said calmly. Mr. Yang lightly said, "Only the gods can determine the laws of this world. Those of us who are infected should have been killed long ago. You should be happy now." Poseidon laughed coldly. "You saved these people, and now they want to execute you. So what? I didn't save them for them to repay me." Mr. Yang was very determined. He was not affected by Poseidon's words. "I'm just carrying out the mission that the gods gave me. As for whether humans will be grateful to me, what does that have to do with me?" "You're a big idiot," Poseidon scolded. Li Fan was amused. "So, you came all the way here just to kill this Mr. Yang?" Li Fan asked. "No. I didn't do it to kill him. I did it to take him away." Poseidon glared angrily at Mr. Yang on the other side of the glass. "This man is still useful to the Creator. Isn't your Creator omnipotent? What does he need this traitor for?" Li Fan wanted to get more information out of him. "Don't believe him. The Creator is already dead. I saw it with my own eyes." Mr. Yang immediately said, "He was divided into 6 parts, China, America, England, Greece, Japan, and Germany. Each of them got a part. How could a person who was split into 6 pieces still be alive? You'll know soon enough. At that time, all of you will have to repent." Poseidon said. "I am just a vanguard. Soon, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse will descend personally. Sure, I want to meet the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The strongest of the 4 mutants." It was said that all 4 of them were S-class experts. Although Li Fan was a martial arts fanatic, he liked to dabble in other schools of thought. Fighting against mutant experts, experience was also very valuable. "You won't be able to reach Geneva," Poseidon predicted. Poseidon made a prophecy. "The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse will end you before then. You captured me and Mr. Yang. They will definitely come for you." In the end, a few days later, Poseidon was completely slapped in the face. The legendary 4 horsemen of the apocalypse did not appear even once. Li Fan put the 3 of them into cages and transported them to the dock. A group of special forces from Geneva were in charge of welcoming them. These special forces warriors were all wearing silver-white armor with the national emblem of Geneva printed on their chests. "Knights of the Holy Light." Susu said to Li Fan, "These people are Orthodox knights. There are not many of them. I heard that the armor they are wearing is a holy weapon that has been blessed by the Pope. These people dressed as knights were all very arrogant. There was a kind of nobility and arrogance in their eyes. Imperceptibly, they created a distance between them and Li Fan. The leader was a man with blonde hair. His silver armor had beautiful golden roses embroidered on it. This man walked elegantly in front of Li Fan and said frivolously, "It wasn't easy for a motley crew like you to escort them here." He gently covered his nose with a handkerchief as if Li Fan and the others were emitting the smell of the plague. "Your mission ends here. Go home. Now, hand over the three of them to us, the Knights of the Holy Light." "No," Susu hurriedly said to Li Fan, "we can't just give them to them. If anything goes wrong, it will definitely be our fault." "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing," Li Fan said with his hands behind his back, standing in front of the blonde man. "Sorry, we didn't receive such an order. My job is to send this war criminal to the court of justice." "Fool, with us, the Knights of the Holy Light here, do we still need the help of rookies like you?" The blonde man frowned and looked at Li Fan with some disgust. "We, the Knights of the Holy Light, all of us have noble knight blood. Things like judging evil are naturally done by us. Hurry up and leave, there's nothing for you here." "Sorry, we are Fiefan Escort Agency. We are responsible for delivering the goods to the required places according to the employer's requirements," Li Fan said with a chuckle. "In this period of time, no matter who obstructs us, they will be our enemy." As he spoke, both Big Dipper and Fei Long took a step forward and stood in front of the cage. "How dare you!" These 20 silver-armored knights all pulled out their swords and pointed them at Li Fan and the others. "What, drawing your swords just because of a disagreement?" Li Fan's smile deepened. "Sure, let's have a fight. You decide." "Outrageous, how dare you make an enemy out of us, the Knights of the Holy Light." The golden-haired man was so angry that his entire body trembled. He pointed a finger at Li Fan. "Killing you people will dirty our armor." "Fuck, who the fuck are you? What are you bragging about?" Because the blonde man had been speaking in English, Lu Xiaohu understood. He finally could not take it anymore and reached out to the blonde man. A lacy thong appeared in his hand and he threw it to the ground. "Fuck, you're still a pervert." This time, the blonde man's face changed and he immediately pulled out his golden-laid sword. Chapter 597. For the golden-haired man, the leader of the Holy Light Knights, Carlos, his life can only be described with one word: arrogance. Unparalleled status, powerful strength, these are all capital that makes him proud. He leads the entire knight group, everyone has to be respectful when they see him. Even the chairman of the Human Joint Military Committee in Geneva has to be polite when talking to him. And this Chinese monkey in front of him, who does he think he is, actually dares to treat him like this. Carlos' unique hobby was something that no one in the Knights Guild knew about. But now, everyone knows. Carlos is furious. At this moment, all the self-restraint he learned has been fed to the dogs. Right now, he only wants to do one thing, that is to kill that Chinese monkey and feed him to the fishes. This usually elegant leader pulls out his golden-laid sword, unable to restrain his anger, and slashes at Lu Xiaohu's head. Although Lu Xiaohu has some special abilities, his body is still that of an ordinary person. He only sees a flash of golden light, and that great sword is already above his head. Dang! But with Fei Long and 7-Star here, there is no chance for Carlos to hurt anyone. 7-Star's punch knocked Carlos's sword askew, shocking Carlos. This old man is already so old, but he can knock my sword askew with his fist. I have been practicing swordsmanship since I was 5 years old, and I have the protection of the Holy Light, the leader of the Holy Light Knights group, is not for nothing. A person like me, it is hard to find a worthy opponent in the world. But this old man, where did he come from? Carlos looks at 7-Star a few more times. And all the knights behind him have already raised their swords, looking like they are ready to fight at any moment. Leader Carlos, we are from the Shield of China, and these few are also friends of the Shield of China. Susu knows that if she doesn't say anything, the matter will probably get out of hand. If you speak rudely to our China again, I'm afraid it will escalate to a diplomatic incident. I wonder if His Excellency Carlos is able to shoulder this responsibility. Humph. Carlos tidies up his long hair, and then sheathes his sword. Humph, rejoice. If you were my enemy, your heads would have been separated from your bodies by now. You are quite a violent person. Li Fan chuckled. I'm not as hot-tempered as you. If you were my enemy, you would be looking for your teeth all over the floor. No, it should be looking for your underwear all over the floor. Courting death. Carlos's hand was on the hilt of his sword again, and Susu hurriedly stopped the fight. All right, Li Fan, you should talk less. The mission is more important. Don't worry, I have a good temper. Li Fan stood at the side with his hands behind his back. I won't lower myself to your level. Carlos clearly did not understand what 2-to-1 meant. He asked Li Fan, what do you mean by 2-to-1? It means to call him a noble. Oh, then I am indeed a fool. Remember, we will always be different. Understand your identities. Lu Xiaohu couldn't hold back his laughter anymore. He couldn't stop laughing. Carlos was not a fool. He immediately understood. Bastard! Are you scolding me on purpose? How can you accuse people unjustly? Li Fan would never admit it. His scoundrel appearance made Carlos want to kill someone. Don't worry, we will settle this score slowly. In the end, Carlos swallowed his anger. These damned Chinese monkeys. In this place, they wouldn't be able to be arrogant for long. By the way, are there no normal people besides you who received us? Li Fan asked as he escorted Mr. Yang and the others away. Humph, it's your honor that I came in person. Carlos snorted coldly. All right, pretend I didn't ask anything. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders helplessly. This person had his eyes on the top of his head. He probably thought that he was the most honorable person in the world. Although Yan Kai was also quite arrogant, he was definitely not to this extent. It was too scary. This kind of person was destined to have no friends. Master. When are we going back? When Lu Xiaohu first came to Geneva, it was still very fresh. But seeing that the people here were so unfriendly and the language barrier, he soon got sick of it. So he couldn't help but get closer to Li Fan and asked. We'll leave after we've sent these notorious fellows to court. Li Fan asked, why, you don't like this place? Aren't there a lot of beautiful foreign women? These Caucasian women are boring. Our Chinese girls are still more tender. Lu Xiaohu was young, but he pretended to be a veteran pervert and kept commenting. Many people have a good figure, they have breasts and buttocks. Li Fan said and subconsciously glanced at Susu, unlike some girls. Endless. How can this child drink milk in the future? You want to have no descendants, Li Fan, do you want to have a taste of having no descendants? Susu smiled, stretched out her right hand toward Li Fan, and pinched the air. Lu Xiaohu and Li Fan had goosebumps at the same time. Damn, this is too scary. Let's not. I suddenly feel that Susu's figure is also quite good. That's right, Sister Susu is so graceful, so many men want to pursue Sister Susu. If I were 5 years older, I would definitely chase Sister Susu. The two of them began to talk to each other. You too, are you doing a crosstalk? Susu's mood became a little better, rolled her eyes, and then coquettishly said, "Go to the side, I am annoyed to see you too." "Everyone, calm down, don't quarrel and hurt the harmony." Mr. Yang was locked in the cage, but he was very calm as he spoke slowly. "You are quite calm." Li Fan glanced at Mr. Yang. "You are about to be tried, and it is very likely to be a public execution. Aren't you afraid?" "I have already given my life to the gods." There was no fear on Mr. Yang's face, and his eyes were like still water. "For me, death is not scary. What is scary is not being able to complete the task of the gods. Moreover, the trial of mortals is meaningless to me. They don't understand me, so why should I care about what they think? You are either a great good person or a great evil person." Li Fan looked at Mr. Yang, and a chill ran down his spine. "If I were to choose, I really don't want to be your enemy." "Brotherly, you speak too highly of me." Mr. Yang laughed. "After all, if I were to choose, I also don't want to be your enemy. Smart people want to be your friend." With that, he glanced at Carlos intentionally or unintentionally. "I only want to be your enemy if it's 2-1. Chapter 598. Carlos felt that today was not going well for him. He was supposed to escort a mortal, but he, the honorable leader of the Knights of Holy Light, had to do it himself. Not only that, these ignorant Huaxia monkeys had provoked him time and time again. If not for the fact that he did not want to bear the responsibility of diplomacy, Carlos would have slaughtered them all long ago. In the World Joint Military Committee, his position was supreme. These Chinese monkeys were ignorant and inexperienced. How dare they provoke me? Humph, he was a high and mighty aristocrat. He did not need to lower himself to the level of these ants. After the trial, they would have to leave obediently. And these small characters were destined to have no interaction with the honorable him in the future. Carlos suppressed his anger and escorted them to their seats in the courtroom. The army in Geneva was on high alert. They knew that Mr. Yang was coming and had already sealed off the surrounding roads. They even sent 4 tanks and 2 armed helicopters up and down, inside and outside, to clear the way for Mr. Yang. Many people surrounded them. Some of them looked at the Knights of Holy Light with eyes full of worship. Some stared at Mr. Yang and glared at him. Some looked at Li Fan and pointed at them, seemingly curious about Li Fan's identity. Why are there some Chinese? They seem to be the guards who escorted the prisoner here. We are already here. With the Knights of Holy Light here, why would we still need them? I don't know. They probably want to take the opportunity to make their presence known. These Chinese actually came to snatch the honor from the Knights of Holy Light. They really can't think straight. The mockery of the surrounding people reached Li Fan's ears. Li Fan, on the other hand, was very calm. He crossed his arms and followed behind. Lu Xiaohu's patience was obviously running out. He angrily walked on the road and constantly displayed his special ability to the surrounding crowd. Ah! OMG! So cool! Unsheath, Kirin arm! The surrounding people kept exclaiming and had all kinds of reactions. Lu Xiaohu, on the other hand, was enjoying it and kept on using his abilities. But Li Fan pressed his hand down. Lu Xiaohu looked up in surprise. What's wrong, master? Someone found you. Li Fan saw Carlos intentionally or unintentionally glancing in his direction. This narcissistic guy, his strength was also pretty good. These Knights of Holy Light were neither mutants nor martial artists, but they seemed to have cultivated some kind of strange energy, similar to the true Qi of Huaxia. He didn't know who would be stronger if they fought. However, Lu Xiaohu was indeed too weak. He had brought him out in one piece, so naturally, he had to bring him back in one piece. What are you afraid of? Master, you're so powerful. With you as my backer, I'm not afraid of anyone. If a man says something like that, women will look down on you. Li Fan immediately reprimanded him. Master, times have changed. Women nowadays only liked men with money or good looks. Firstly, I have no money, and secondly, I have no face. I can only be thick-skinned. So I don't expect them to like me. Lu Xiaohu said with a straight face, a man should know his place. But speaking of which, I didn't expect myself to have superpowers. Sigh, if only my superpower was invisibility. Invisibility? What's the use of it? If I could be invisibility, I could sneak in front of the prettiest girl in the class, and while she's taking a shower, I could give it a good swipe. Li Fan couldn't help but shake his head. This Lu Xiaohu was indeed a super Luther. If he had even a little bit of ambition, then he would really have seen a ghost. I really didn't expect that the United Nations Military Committee would send out such a big force for me. Mr. Yang sat in the cage and looked at the big scene around him. He couldn't help but laugh. This kind of treatment, even if a country's president came personally, he might not get it. It's enough to show how important you are, Mr. Yang. Li Fan said with a smile. How can a president be compared to Mr. Yang? Brotherly, you're flattering me. I, Mr. Yang, know my own weight. Mr. Yang doesn't have to worry about it. Li Fan said with a smile. In Mr. Yang's heart, they're just some ants. What they do is not important to you, Mr. Yang. No, ants, I didn't say that. Mr. Yang reminded Li Fan. This is what my brother next door said. Poseidon sat in the next cell, crestfallen and listless. His superpower had been destroyed, and he was no different from an ordinary person. He couldn't leave this cage. This was definitely a big blow to the usually all-powerful Poseidon. His other frogman companion also sat next to him in a daze, not saying a word. My enemies are only mutants, Mr. Yang said calmly. I'm cleaning the world's viruses for the gods, not for anyone else. You idiot. Poseidon couldn't help but curse. Look at what you've done. Why are you still yelling here? Do you see, you'll end up the same as us. You'll be executed soon. That's right, you'll be executed soon. Carlos heard their conversation. He didn't even turn his head as he said arrogantly, you've committed crimes against humanity. What awaits you is only death. Rejoice, death can redeem you. Only the gods can redeem us. Mr. Yang immediately retorted. People like you only live in your own world. You'll never understand what it means to have faith. Don't try to provoke me. Carlos chuckled. I have good self-restraint, and I won't dirty my sword with your blood. Is that so? Let's wait and see. Mr. Yang sat down again and closed his eyes to rest. Brother Wyvern, Senior Big Dipper. Li Fan instructed the two of them. I'll have to trouble the two of you to keep an eye on them. I have a bad feeling about this. You're too paranoid. Susu rolled her eyes. This is the United Nations Military Commission, where experts gather. Moreover, these Knights of Holy Light aren't vegetarians. They're similar to you martial artists. You martial fighters train in true Qi, but they train in a type of Do Qi, which can also strengthen their bodies. The world was big, and there were all sorts of strange things. Li Fan was a little curious. What was the difference between vital energy and combat energy? He looked at Carlos and couldn't help but lick his tongue. He had a desire to fight. Oh my God, Lu Xiaohu covered his mouth with his hand. What's wrong? Master, you can't just ignore the flowers and only love chrysanthemums, fuck off. Chapter 599. This Lu Xiaohu, his head is always filled with all sorts of nonsense every day. Li Fan patted his head and continued to escort Mr. Yang. The rest of the journey was peaceful. Mr. Yang seemed to have been abandoned. No one came to find trouble with him. The name of the Knights of Holy Light seemed to have scared off a lot of people. And the United Nations Military Commission seemed to have intentionally arranged this parading action. Mr. Yang was notorious and his reputation spread far and wide. Even a child here saw him as a devil, spitting and cursing at him. The scene was shocking. However, Mr. Yang was unmoved. He was taken out of the prison van. 2 Knights of Holy Light came over and escorted Mr. Yang into the courtroom. Li Fan, Su, and the rest followed behind. They had to see Mr. Yang being taken to the courtroom with their own eyes. Mr. Yang was still calm. He walked into the courtroom and stood in front of everyone. The judge and jury were all seated. The Knights of Holy Light were in charge of maintaining discipline. Li Fan, Su, and the rest were also sitting at the side, waiting to watch this trial of the century. There were 8 cameras facing the courtroom. This was a live broadcast. The trial of this famous war criminal was about to be held. Kai Yang. The judge said a bunch of statements, then looked at Mr. Yang and called out his name. Today is a special and fair trial. Li Fan's English was quite good. He could understand most of it. The judge paused and continued, "You can hire a lawyer to defend you." "No need. I will defend myself." Mr. Yang stood in the courtroom. He was high-spirited. He did not look like a person who was about to be judged. Instead, he looked like a judge who was here to judge others. Li Fan rubbed his eyes. This Mr. Yang was a bit too powerful. "Are you sure? You want to give up the right to find another lawyer?" The judge asked again. "Yes, I'm sure." Mr. Yang nodded. The judge continued, "Well then, you will be tried for crimes against humanity. Do you plead guilty?" "That won't do. I have never done such a thing. You can't just come up with a crime and pin it on my head. This kind of behavior is anti-civilization. Forgive me, but I cannot accept it. Kai Yang, you don't need to quibble, we have evidence in our hands." As the prosecutor spoke, he turned on the screen next to him and displayed some images and a list of names. Peter, 20 years old, Englishman, died at your hands on his birthday. Lawrence, 38 years old, American. He was traveling with his wife when he was killed by you. Also, the Knights of the Round Table from England. 13 Knights of the Round Table were poisoned by you and your men. The Shield of China, more than 30 mutants, were massacred by you. Just a few days ago, one of your butchers killed more than 10 innocent researchers from the Huaxia Shield. Are these crimes not enough to convict you? When these cases were listed, the jury members immediately whispered and looked at Mr. Yang with even more hatred. "Young man, before you put me on trial, you should have more evidence." Kai Yang said, "Taking out this kind of evidence, you are really too irresponsible. Still trying to mislead the public. These pieces of evidence were all carefully gathered by me." The prosecutor immediately said, "I can use my career to swear that every piece of evidence I have gathered is true and trustworthy. There is not the slightest bit of falsehood." "Young man, what are you so excited about? Look at you, your face is red and your neck is thick. It is not good to anger yourself. In court, be more serious." The judge immediately banged his gavel. "Kai Yang, do you have any defense?" "It is not a defense, but a statement of facts," Kai Yang said as he stretched out his hand and pointed at the first youth on the screen. Peter, English, 20 years old. He awakened his ability when he was 19 years old. When he had just obtained his ability, in order to test his strength, he killed an entire class of classmates. That's right, he was celebrating his 20th birthday and begged me to let him go. However, when he killed his classmates, he probably didn't listen to their pleas. Kai Yang's words not only stunned the prosecutor, but also stunned everyone present. Also, Lawrence, 38 years old, yes, American, loves his wife. Oh, that's not right, you can't say it like that, because this woman is not his wife, but someone else's wife. Lawrence's superpower is to brainwash others. This woman thinks that he is her husband, so she is dead set on following him. However, this is not his first wife. Before this, there were more than 20 families that were broken up by him in this way. That's right, Lawrence has a hobby, he likes to collect the skulls of his previous wives and make them into art. That's right, you went to this person's house to investigate, right? Did you see the shelf where he collected his art? What do you think of the display? The prosecutor felt that he was a bit speechless. That's right, you just mentioned the Knights of the Round Table, right? Kai Yang said with a smile, 20 years ago, there was a small town in the Middle East. The townspeople were simple and honest, but they were too kind. They were so kind that they took in a group of terrorists. In order to exterminate them, the Knights of the Round Table and China's Shield jointly dispatched experts and slaughtered everyone in the town. Because they didn't know who was an ordinary person and who was a terrorist. So, they simply killed them all and put an end to it. You're talking nonsense. The prosecutor couldn't sit still, you actually told such a big lie. There is no information left on this matter. After all, I am that terrorist from that year. Mr. Yang smiled. His smile sent shivers down everyone's spine. What he said, was it all true? If it was, then it was really too scary. This simply subverted the worldview of most people. Prosecutor, what did you just say? Mr. Yang looked at the young prosecutor calmly. Yes, I killed a lot of people, and my hands are stained with a lot of blood. I have committed crimes against humanity, you can try me. Then, those people I just mentioned, who can try them? For a moment, the courtroom was so silent that even a pin drop could be heard. China's Shield did such a thing. He turned his head and glanced at Su Su, but Su Su also shook her head repeatedly. How could she know such a long time ago? You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.